mucho Copilot. ¡Hostia! ¡Qué bueno, qué bueno, qué bueno! Microsoft últimamente... Hostia, tiene estos detalles, ¿eh? Tiene estos detalles que saben cositas, saben cositas. ¿Qué es lo que quieres construir hoy? Microsoft. Vale. Bueno, ya está. Ya tenemos aquí a Satya Nadella. Ya está. Ya está. Ya empezó, amigos. Ya empezó. ¡Pam! Vamos.
You know, developer conferences are always about understanding tech shifts, understanding the new stack, but it's also about really coming to grips with the new opportunity, right? For us as developers, for the companies that we work at, as well as the broader world. So today we're going to unpack this. This conference is all about that. And if there's one key takeaway, it would be this. How do you all participate fully in this frontier intelligence ecosystem? Right? It's not about any one piece of technology.
Me gusta cómo ha empezado, ¿eh?
Or even the
Me gusta.
platform itself. It's about the value
Le doy voz, ¿eh?
You can build, you can compound, you can create on top of the platform.
Developers
That's what a
y
developer
oportunidad.
conference needs to be about, and that's what we will focus on. So let's kind of get into it. Let's take a look at this
Basaco,
AI stack that this conference is going to unpack in a
Mira,
great amount of detail.
security,
It starts,
bien arriba.
of course, with the compute fabric, right? That
Venga,
ubiquitous
infraestructura.
compute fabric
Empezamos con Azure.
that spans the edge and the cloud. You then have this layer, which is the emerging layer, where you have the models,
Modelos,
you have
contexto y
context,
herramientas.
you have the
Modelos.
tools, the models
Bien.
can access. And then on top of that, you have the runtime, where you deploy your agents and applications that you build on top of the context layer, on top of the model layer. And then, of course, you have the best tooling to do all of this. And then you have the security, the compliance, and the
Herramienta de desarrollo,
right?
seguridad y
That's the simplest
observabilidad.
form of the tech
Vamos
stack.
bien.
But let's kind of start where it always starts, which is
Basaco,
infrastructure.
me gusta.
And
Todo.
in fact, let's start at the edge with Windows.
¡Ojo!
Because when you step back, the amount of compute there is at the edge is actually astounding, right? I mean, think about every NPU, GPU, CPU even. Every PC, if you sort of aggregate that, that's a lot of compute power. So we asked ourselves one simple question, right? If we can deliver unmetered intelligence to every desk and every home, right? It takes us all the way back to the very beginning, but that's what we said. Can we do that in this era of AI? And in fact, we're in some sense delivering that already today, right? When you look at something like, say, Outlook Summarize, it's actually using onboard AI locally.
Sale por ahí.
Same thing with PowerPoint Alt Text.
Está hablando de inteligencia artificial en local. En local,
It's just not Microsoft stuff. It's a bit, for example,
es que va a ser
Adobe
súper
After
importante
Effects
inteligencia artificial
or
local.
Premiere
Es
are
exagerado.
both using Windows ML across NPUs and GPUs for local processing.
¿Ves?
And so
Procesamiento
today, one of the
local.
things that I'm really excited about in order to tap into all this compute power is to expand the scope of Windows ML and Windows AI, right? So you now have the full install base of GPUs that you can get to. So I'm really thrilled that every developer out there can count on building for local onboard AI and then have it run across all of the install base.
O sea, que están expandiendo las APIs de inteligencia artificial local.
Very cool new models that
Dos
are
nuevos
all
modelos.
run on Windows Inbox.
Estos son
The
totalmente
first
nuevos.
is a new SLM. It's sort of a more efficient model, Ion Instruct. And it's a great reasoning model. And then we have the planning model, Ion Plan, which is a local agentic loop.
Se ejecutan en local estos modelos en Windows.
Local agentic loop. You can give it tools access and build a fully onboard agentic applications without having to round trip to the cloud. And of course, we said in
integrados
order to really
100% en Windows.
push the limits, realize this unmetered intelligence, there's also a lot of hardware that's evolving too. And so we're thrilled to see the innovation across the Windows ecosystem, right? It's AMD with their Ryzen processors. The Panther Lake stuff from Intel is just exciting to see. Qualcomm announced 2 sets of things which are great. One on the high end with a Snapdragon X2 Elite. And then on the low end, even for sub 500 PCs with
Qualcomm,
Snapdragon
hablando
C,
de Qualcomm,
so it's great to see all of this. And of course, that brings us to NVIDIA.
NVIDIA va a hablar de Spark.
This is a next generation SoC for PCs. It brings together the CPU, the GPU, as well as the AI capabilities into a single SoC. And that's the exciting part. And it includes unified memory,
memoria unificada que puedas utilizar para modelos de inteligencia artificial.
DRTM, right? So you now have all of the systems innovation and the SoC
aquí Apple estuvo inteligente,
la vio venir. One of the first devices that we built was the Surface Ultra, right? It's a beautiful device, and it really brings the power of NVIDIA together with the design and the craftsmanship of Surface. It's 128 gigabytes of unified memory. It's beautiful too.
128 GB de memoria RAM. Mira, está ahí,
and it has
me gusta el fondo de pantalla.
Life. And so we're very excited to see this later this fall.
Es bonito,
and
portátil.
It's also
es bien
wonderful
bonito.
To see all the designs from all the OEM partners who are building, taking advantage of this new SoC and the new platform. And bringing out some pretty exciting machines that are going to be all available come this fall. And so, of course, we said, okay, this is fantastic. What can we do next? So we said, let's try and push this.
El mini PC. El mini PC.
Push the architecture to its limit for
el
developers.
Mini PC.
Right? What if we could just max the compute, max the memory, build out that developer machine, that's the dream machine. And that's what we're announcing today. Surface RTX Spark, DevBox. Let's roll the video.
Caja de desarrollo de DevBox. Necesito esto. Lo quiero. Lo quiero, lo quiero. A ver, amigos, no tengo ninguna duda que vamos a ver un mini PC, que es una caja para desarrolladores. Necesito esto en mi casa. Necesito esto, lo quiero ya. Lo quiero. Ojo. 128 GB de memoria RAM. Un petaflop. A ver. Le quito el audio más que nada por temas de copyright, porque si me tiran el vídeo me matan. Pero, ay Dios mío, qué bonito es eso. Por favor. Ay, no me digas que hasta pantalla van a sacar, que me da algo, ¿eh? Oy. A ver eso. A ver eso. 120.000 millones de parámetros en local. Vamos, venga, y también mira cómo funcionan los juegos. ¿Esto qué es? Ay, Dios mío, que es muy bonito. Pero que no sale más.
All right.
Ostras, a ver. Ah, lo tiene ahí, lo vamos a ver en condiciones,
Yeah, this is,
es muy bonito,
it's truly a dream machine. It's got a 1 petaflop of AI compute, 20 CPU cores.
¿Cuánto va a costar esto?
All of those things have 128 gigabytes of unified memory access. So super excited about this coming in the fall, and you can join the waitlist. I'm on the
en
waitlist
otoño
as well,
de este año. Ya te puedes unir a la lista de espera.
You know, so then we said, why stop there? We said, what if we did one more thing?
Una cosa más.
And in fact, I think Jensen did that already when he said Windows is coming to the DGX station. So I describe it as the desktop data center, which you can have right there and running a 1 trillion parameter model locally. I mean, just to sort of put it in perspective, it's pretty close to what perhaps we had when we built GPT-2.5 or 3, right? When it was one of the first supercomputers. So it's pretty crazy.
Esto va a ser una locura. Es que esto es el futuro, amigos. La inteligencia artificial local. Esto es.
And of course, we're extending the developer endpoints even to the cloud. Windows 365 now has the developer distribution that's optimized for developer productivity in the cloud. So that's the Windows 365 that I use every day. And it's simply about making Windows, whether it's on the laptop, the desktop, the cloud, wherever, the best place to build. And so
¿Cómo se está poniendo Windows,
tons and tons of updates, right? We've started, by the way, with one of the favorite things for all of us, which is
un entorno sin distracciones.
dev environment. We're also introducing an intelligent terminal, which has got built-in GitHub Copilot, right? Terminal with sort of the
Terminal
Copilot
inteligente con Copilot integrado.
And of course, there's lots and lots of Linux love across Windows now.
Core utils ahora en Windows.
You have 70 plus utilities, so grep in full glory is now
70 servicios que van a estar en la terminal de Windows como grep.
Utilities, as I said, all of that is coming to Windows. We're also bringing things from the Mac that you love, things like
cosas de Mac.
Starship, Z Shell, Homebrew is going to be native on Windows as well,
la terminal.
so you'll be able to switch to Windows. And today, we're announcing WSL containers. This is, I know, been a point of pain when you're managing all these environments, switching all the mental gymnastics of trying to keep this straight. So having first-class support for containers will really help us be in the flow when you are building and deploying locally. And to show all of this on our new Surface RTX Spark, I wanted to invite up on stage Kayla to just take a spin through all the dev tools.
¿Cómo ha empezado Microsoft, amigos? ¿Cómo ha empezado Microsoft? ¿Cómo ha empezado Microsoft?
Our team has been working hard to make Windows a great place for development. And today I'm going to show you some major improvements and delighters you can try out today. So what we have here is the default experience on the Surface RTX Spark dev box. Right away, it feels calm. There's no news feed, no widgets popping up, no notifications, and of course, we're in dark mode.
Necesito ese
I'm
Windows.
immediately ready to start development.
Ese modo de Windows lo quiero ya.
Well, there's one thing I'd like to change. I like to put my taskbar on the left. So let me jump into my taskbar settings using the new Run, which is built leveraging the architecture of PowerToys command palette. No. I want it all the way on the left.
Vamos, en la izquierda. Ahora sí que se puede.
After popular demand, we're excited to announce that vertical taskbar is now available in Windows Insider
Vamos,
builds.
Bravo, sí que se podía, vamos.
The new Surface RTX Spark also has a bunch of key dev tools already installed, like Python, Node, and many more of your favorites. All of the developer goodness, all in one file. And if you want to get the same experience today on your device, we're making this file available to everyone right now. We have a public repo set up with the configuration file and instructions for how to apply it using winget configure, which will make the adjustments to Windows and install all the tools.
Qué grande.
Now, one cool thing that I have running here is PowerToys' new utility called Grab and Move, which lets you hold Alt and move the window around from anywhere. Another tip is that you can enable end task, which lets you end the process without having to open Task Manager. So let me jump into my dev drive. Dev drives run on REFS with Defender running in async and are optimized for performance when it comes to development scenarios. Also, File Explorer is Git aware. We've got stuff like last change author name, last change message, the status of each file. Plus, my favorite is that the branch name is on the bottom left. So now let's get started building
el explorador de archivos
terminal.
Está integrado con Git.
This is an experimental experience called Intelligent Terminal that makes working with agents even more seamless. When you first install Intelligent Terminal, you're greeted with the option to pick your favorite agent. I'm going to use GitHub Copilot for today, but you can use whichever agent speaks to you. Now here in Intelligent Terminal, I have a regular terminal pane at the top and an agent that's listening on the bottom, and I can work between them while the agent helps along the way. So for example, here's an error being generated. My agent pane is able to detect it and provide a fix, which is great when I don't remember the syntax, especially for something like regex. So I'm going to work on OpenClaw, and I've already built it using WSL Container. WSL Container is a native container experience on Windows, plus it can leverage the GPU, which is perfect for the Surface RTX Spark.
¡Ostras! Que puedo utilizar la GPU, los contenedores de WSL.
In the OpenClaw project.
Madre mía.
So here's one of the files open in Microsoft Edit,
Docker.
which ships in Windows by default and just got syntax highlighting in its latest version. And then you can also just see your containers running with a simple container images command.
Tremendo.
And since we're on the topic of WSL, we're providing a WSL profile that's designed to feel comfortable for those of you who use tools like Starship, ZSH, and Homebrew. So it comes pre-configured with all of your favorite utilities, and it's available in the repo that I showed earlier. and it also includes one of my favorites, BTOP. So the Surface RTX Spark is designed for developer-heavy workloads, including serving large local models for coding. I've already done some development with a 120 billion parameter model that most machines can't even load. So here's a quick view of my usage, and we can see how many tokens I've used locally. So we're looking at about 3.4 million tokens leveraged on the device itself.
Madre mía.
Now, we can kick off multiple sub-agents using Fleet. And just so we don't have to watch me type, I'm going to use Copilot's voice feature, which is also leveraging its own local model. So I'll just hold spacebar and tell it what I want it to do. Find any console.writeline or debug.writeline calls in the tray and node projects and convert them to the standard logger used elsewhere in the codebase.
O sea, el modo voz está utilizando un modelo local para entenderle.
Sub-agent tasks of appropriate complexity to the local model, utilizing my GPU and making it more cost-efficient. Now, as developers, while we're debugging, we're often looking through log files to diagnose any issues. Sometimes finding the location of the log files is a challenge. I'd love to be able to just type something like grep log and find them all. Ah, sweet.
Ostras,
so on top
fuerte.
of already adding curl, tar, and sudo to Windows, now we're adding over 75 command line utilities like env, head, tail, and touch for those of us who love to live in the terminal.
Madre mía.
So I found all my log files, but now having to parse them is the second challenge.
75
well, I've actually had
comandos.
Ion and Struct proactively performing analyses on my log files this whole time. Now I can quickly diagnose anything that's gone wrong in my development, plus I don't have to worry about token usage because it's all local. We can even take a look at our machine's resources. The models are loaded, and you can see 90 gigs of RAM being utilized by the GPU, truly showcasing the full power of the Surface RTX Spark.
90 gigas de memoria RAM está utilizando, porque está utilizando el modelo local.
Simultaneously, unmetered, while going about our regular dev flow without a hitch. That's huge.
3 modelos en local a la vez estuve utilizando. La verdad es que pintaza,
I know you're going to love what the team's been working on. We hope it gives you a glimpse of what's possible on Windows today and where we're headed next. Thank you. Back to you, Satya.
Wow. Qué buena pinta. Vaya sacada lo de meter 70 y pico comandos en la terminal, ¿eh?
Having those models and having the agents using the models work in parallel.
Ha empezado muy bien esto, amigos. Ha empezado muy bien.
That I think is what the platform enables as first class. Now let's move to the cloud. The driving equation for us remains the same, which is tokens per dollar per watt. How do we optimize around this, right? So when we think about the systems problem, we think about electrons coming on one end and tokens on the other end. And how do we think about the systems optimization end to end? It starts with the data center design itself, right? The core compute, storage, network, all the accelerators that go into accelerating each of those components. How do you even think about the DC to DC connectivity and the networking, as well as the offload to something like the local compute, right? That's the sort of systems challenge. But before we even get into all of the systems and the technology and the innovation, perhaps the most important design criteria for us is how do we earn the permission from the communities in which we're building these data centers? And that's where these principles ground us and focus us.
Bueno, mira,
how do we ensure
primera vez que se menciona esto en cualquier sitio. O sea, estoy sorprendido,
sure we're replenishing all our water use. Creating jobs in the local communities for the local
Primera vez que se menciona esto en una charla de inteligencia artificial. El impacto local, el impacto en comunidades locales.
And the non-profits in the area. Only when we live up to these principles, do the hard work around it, is when we earn the permission to go ahead and innovate and build. And we've been doing a lot of data center build-out. Today, Azure spans more than 500 data centers in 80 regions. It's the most expansive, we have the most expansive hyperscaler footprint out there. And we have added more data center capacity in the last 18 months than the first decade of Azure, just to put that in perspective. But more importantly,
África y
what we are
Latinoamérica
building is also very different.
falta ahí,
In fact, the first
trabajo.
15 years or so, we built out the commercial cloud infrastructure for a set of heterogeneous, workloads that spanned the enterprise. But now
Colombia.
When you look at what we're building, right, when you think about all the gigawatts that were going to come online, really they have three dominant workloads. There is training, there is inference, and then there is the agent runtime, right? These are three dominant workloads. And in fact, when you look at Fairwater, it was sort of our first AI super factory. It spanned two regions, Georgia and Wisconsin. The entire system was designed from the ground up for AI, right? We worked, in fact, very closely with even NVIDIA on this, and it's a two-story architecture that lets us essentially place racks, obviously in three dimensions, and pack the maximum number of GPUs densely with network access. That means you really got fantastic higher performance networking, lower latency, and more effective bandwidth across the entire cluster. And we're rethinking even the power delivery, right? So we started, okay, how do we deliver hundreds of kilowatts per row while minimizing all the loss, right? Which is the conversion loss that happens from the grid to the silicon. So we basically sort of even took a new approach to it. And all of this also changes with the cooling system, right? And water. So in fact, the cooling loop is filled once, and the data center can operate effectively with zero water consumption. In fact, the daily water usage over the course of an entire year is roughly equivalent to what a single restaurant would use, right? I mean, that's...
Dice que un centro de datos consume lo mismo que un restaurante en todo un año.
And when it comes to the systems and the silicon, again, we have a lot of choice.
Puede ser,
we have first-party silicon, we have partner systems. We were the very first cloud to bring up, in fact, NVIDIA's Vera Rubin system for validation. Very exciting to see that. We're working closely with AMD. We worked with them on MI300. Now we're working with them on their next generation AMD GPUs. Maya 200 is continuing to scale. In fact, it's live in Iowa and Arizona. We'll deploy it internationally later this year. It delivers 30% improved tokens per dollar compared to sort of what's the leading GPU today. And we have validated it with 5.5, GPT-5.5, and we are going to use that to power Microsoft 365 Copilot. And so when it comes to running these agents, the interesting thing now is it's no longer just about having an AI accelerator or a GPU. The CPU is really critical. In fact, the ratios may be even coming to 1:1. And that's why we are innovating with Cobalt. We're announcing the preview of Cobalt 200 VMs, our next generation ARM-based CPU designed for both cloud native and agent workloads today. So it's exciting to see Cobalt make progress as well. One thing that we've been trying to make sure is that it's being optimized for these new workloads I talked about, right? These new agent workloads. So in fact, Cobalt delivers 50+% better performance than Cobalt 100 on cloud native. But we started benchmarking them using the GitHub Copilot traces, these agentic traces, to see, because the call patterns are so different. And we're now seeing 33% lower latency for the agent calls, 14% faster speed, 23% higher throughput. So this is about the co-design of both the AI accelerator and the CPU for the agent. And of course, when you talk about AI workloads, you need scale, you need reliability, and that's why the network becomes super critical. We have innovated with the MRC architecture and rebuilt how traffic across Azure moves to support AI workloads, which are fundamentally synchronous data parallel workloads, right? And so therefore they span tens and thousands of GPUs. And so you need to have them coherent. That's what the next frontier of, is for us to make sure we're able to keep scaling the network architecture. And of course, it's not about just inside the data center. It's also about connecting across the data centers. And every Fairwater data center, for example, is connected through our continent-spanning AI WAN, forming this truly fungible compute fabric. And all this innovation is exciting, but when you think about innovation, designing for AI, and I would say deep understanding of systems, there's no better company than NVIDIA, and there's no better person than Jensen to talk about it. So I wanted to invite live from Taipei, Jensen Huang, CEO and founder of NVIDIA.
CEO y fundador. Bueno, Jensen Huang desde Taipei.
Jensen, thank you so much for
me imagino que en vivo y en directo.
Again. I know it's late for you in Taipei. I really appreciate you
Hostia, ¿qué hora es en Taipei?
At the end, I've been looking at social and everything people have been talking about since your
en la 1 de la mañana en Taipei.
And suddenly, this concept of unmetered intelligence right at the edge is so hot again. So maybe you want to talk a little bit. You have thought about this, talked about this, and now, of course, with RTX Spark, really delivered, I think, what's a breakthrough system for AI to be much more ubiquitous. But maybe, Jensen, you can just share a little bit your vision around where you see this going.
Well, this all started about 3 years ago between a conversation between you and I.
3 años hace esto, una conversación que tuvieron.
We could build a new class of PCs that's incredible for designers and creators, and it would be incredible for artificial intelligence, and it would be one of these systems that has the processing capability, but also the software stack that's integrated into the world's design packages and creator packages, and of course all the things that we're doing with AI. And here we are, 3 years later, we built an incredible new chip, and this system is supported by all of this new software that you created for Windows. And we now have the ability to have essentially an autonomous agent running on the PC. Now, when you take a step back and you think about what does that mean? For the 40 years or some 30 years we've been working together, we went from inventing DirectX together to creating now this incredible computer that has autonomous systems running. The PC evolved from being an incredible tool to now being...
La verdad es que aquí hubiera preferido más demo práctica que hable con Jensen Huang, que ya lo anunciaron ayer. Tengo que decir que la NVIDIA DGX Spark en un inicio fue con Linux, empezaron con Linux, y el cambio es que ahora funciona toda la arquitectura con Windows, que es una cosa que no se podía hacer antes, que funcionaba solo con Linux. Entonces, bueno, me parece súper interesante lo que han conseguido, está muy bien, pero creo que ha sido mucho más potente cuando han puesto a enseñar todas las cosas que habían hecho, todas las nuevas herramientas de desarrollo y todo esto, que bueno, ahora pues es un poco más lo que han conseguido y tal, lo que han pensado y tal. Bueno, está bien.
Computer to a personal AI is just really exciting, and to see it come to life.
Que estoy de acuerdo, lo que está diciendo, que creo que tiene todo sentido, que vamos a poder ejecutar cada vez más lo que vamos a tener ordenadores que pueden ejecutar modelos locales potentes.
Incredible capabilities, a petaflop of AI performance. It has a petaflops of NVFP4. Yeah. This numerical format that our two companies worked on together that allows us to take advantage of this 128 gigabytes of memory and fit maybe a couple of 100 billion parameter model. A couple of 100 billion parameter model is state of the art. And so I think the days of having
modelos de 100.000 millones de parámetros
autonomously on the PC is here.
Yeah, no, it's so awesome, and in fact, I'm also excited about Windows.
Pero ¿cuánto debe costar? ¿Cuánto debe costar el 128 gigas? A ver cuánto costan 128 gigas.
It's so exciting. But talking about that data center side, obviously, this entire thing got started when we built the first supercomputer together to train the GPT models, and we have come a long way. In fact, even I was talking about the Fairwater design. It was custom built essentially for the Grace Blackwell era to be able to max the data center design with the system design you had. And now, of course, we're validating Vera Rubin. We're very excited about it. Maybe you want to share a little bit about sort of what happens even on the cloud side with how you're pushing on the systems innovation.
Es que...
Well, our journey is incredible. We built the first AI
3.000
supercomputer
mínimo.
together. That was
Sí,
based
sí.
on Ampere. Of course, Hopper was an incredible success. Those first two generations were focused on pre-training. Grace Blackwell came along, and all of the focus moved to post-training, reinforcement learning, which allowed us to have reasoning models. And these reasoning models, based on mixture of experts, were incredibly intelligent, energy efficient, but it requires giant systems. And so we created NVLink 72, and the entire rack became one computer. We had evolved from one node to now one rack. Well, Microsoft deployed the largest number of Grace Blackwells in the world today. The fastest and the largest number of Grace Blackwells in the world.
Buen cliente, Microsoft para Nvidia.
Just a magnificent system to look at. It's just a miracle of engineering. It's just an incredible feat. It's completely liquid cooled. You mentioned something earlier that I'm very proud of as well, that it's closed looped, basically uses almost no water.
Tiene un circuito cerrado de agua, que no gasta agua porque es un circuito cerrado que se está reutilizando todo el rato.
We're able to increase the token generation rate and reduce the cost of token generation by an order of magnitude, some 30 times over Hopper. So that was a huge achievement. Well, Vera Rubin was created for a world where
Vera Rubin es la próxima arquitectura que va a sacar Nvidia de sus chips.
Grace Blackwell for training, post-training, and also inference, Vera Rubin is designed to run agents. It's agents, as you know, this
claro, como que cada arquitectura ha estado pensada para un momento de la inteligencia artificial.
On the RTX Spark. It's exactly the same agentic system, except, of course, it's going to be much, much larger. We're going to process enormous number of them
Vera Rubin saldrá el año que viene.
Many of them are going to be from different customers and different partners. And so the entire path, the entire coding path from storage, which is the long-term memory, the working memory, is encrypted. The data is encrypted in transit. The data is also encrypted in use. And so we're going to really innovate in the area of confidential computing. And so this entire disaggregated, distributed computing system, you mentioned CPUs. Vera is a revolutionary CPU designed for agents. You know, the past CPUs were designed for humans. And, you know, we're just more patient than agents are. And agents want low latency, just as you've been working on as well. Vera was designed for extremely low latency. And so Vera Rubin is just completely revolutionary. I can't wait to show it to everybody. You've already stood it up.
Yep.
Our two teams have
bueno,
been working very closely.
Él la ha podido ver ya.
Almost long before the chips taped out, long before the systems were brought up, our two teams were already completely aligned. And so the data centers were created for Vera Rubin. The Vera Rubin is designed and integrated into your complete stack, into your network.
Fijaos la diferencia de cambio de estrategia de Microsoft cuando el año pasado estaba más alineado con OpenAI, o sea, más a nivel de modelo de inteligencia artificial, y en cambio este año, al menos lo que estamos viendo hasta el momento, es un cambio de paradigma en me voy a juntar todavía más con Nvidia, porque es la que tiene la llave al éxito futuro, ¿sabes? O sea, es como que se han dado cuenta de, es que los modelos van y vienen, o sea, puede ser el de Anthropic, puede ser el OpenAI, puedo crear el mío propio, podemos utilizar modelos chinos, y en cambio voy a aliarme más con el hardware, porque la computación es lo que te va a dar la ventaja competitiva. El cloud, la potencia, computación, electricidad, eficiencia. O sea que ahí está la diferencia de estrategia que al menos ahora mismo estamos viendo. Y volver al hardware, poner el foco en el hardware de nuevo. Surface Laptop Ultra, el DevBox, todo esto. O sea, Microsoft está haciendo un cambio un poco de paradigma total, ¿eh?
Maybe you want to share a little bit about that.
Well, we've been preparing for this moment. You know, what happened in the last several months, we've been working for a decade and a half together, getting ready for really what happened in the last several months. All of a sudden, because of agentic systems, the convergence of these really great models, AI is now useful. If you just look at GitHub, the commits into GitHub is gone completely parabolic. In the last several months, the number of commits increased by a factor of 3. It's clear that agentic systems are useful, that it's doing productive work, and also tokens are now profitable as a result. And so the amount
Ojo, dice que los tokens ahora son rentables como resultado.
The usage of the AI and the computation that's necessary for agents, the compute demand has really gone through the roof. Well, one of the things that we've been doing together is making sure that all of the tools that the agents are going to use are fully accelerated. Fabric, for example, is now fully accelerated. We're accelerating data processing.
Fabric es un producto de Microsoft en Azure.
Spark, semantic-based, vector-based, graph-based. We're going to make sure that all of the tools that are available on Azure are going to be fully GPU accelerated because the agents are going to be impatient. The faster we can get the answers back to the agents, the faster they can iterate, the faster it can generate tokens, which are ultimately what the developers, both of our customers, would like to do, is generate a lot of tokens that are really profitable, that are highly intelligent.
Generar tokens.
Thank you so much,
Vale,
Jensen,
ya,
for the
Jensen,
partnership
gracias.
and the leadership and the innovation that you bring to this
Gracias,
entire ecosystem.
Jensen.
And really thrilled to be working closely with you and the team and bring all this to the developers here and beyond. And look forward to seeing what the next sort of few months and the next year bring in terms of the innovation that gets built on top of the platform. So thank you again for joining this late in the night from Taipei.
Thank you so much, Satya.
Descansa, Jensen, descansa, amigo. Bueno, pues Jensen Juan de Nvidia. Hostia, todo el mundo enganchado al móvil.
So
amigos.
Far, we've talked about the edge and the cloud.
Fijaos que vamos en la primera capa.
When I saw that Jensen picture from the weekend where he had all the desktop.
Bueno, ahora vamos a hablar de modelos, contexto y herramientas. Y de modelos, creo que está interesante.
Line-up of all the machines that I loved and I grew up with back yet again with new functionality, right? The same form factor, but unbelievable new functionality because of the onboard AI capability, right? So that's sort of what we've seen. With the laptop, the desktop, and of course with the cloud. But it also, sets up that next question.
A ver.
If you have that capability, which is new function, and you can put it into existing form factors, can you even purpose build new form factors for the new function? Can you build a new platform even for the agent era? And that is the motivation behind Project Solara, which we're introducing today. And to talk about this, I wanted to invite Stevie on stage. But first, let's roll the video.
First, there's you. Then, everything in front of you. We get it. The noise, the weight of it.
Solana.
So we've been building something.
Algo nuevo de Microsoft.
A new chip-to-cloud platform for an agent-first world.
Un nuevo chip para plataforma buena gente.
First devices. You come close, it's ready when you are. You speak, it understands you. What matters comes forward. Everything else falls away. And when you want it to keep going, it keeps going. Your call. Sometimes it sits with you. Sometimes it goes with you. Sometimes it sees what you want it to see. It doesn't decide for you.
Estoy alucinando ahora mismo.
It just lights the path and tries to clear the way when you need it to.
¿Pero es un móvil?
That's the idea. A whole ecosystem.
¿Es una especie de Alexa?
Built to clear the way.
¿Es un ecosistema nuevo
so
totalmente?
All that's left is where you need to go.
¿Son dos productos?
Whenever it matters.
Ah, pero va a haber más productos. Es como un ecosistema nuevo de...
I am so excited to be here. It really is great to be back on
Acabo de alucinar.
Now, before I talk about those awesome new devices you just saw, let me start with the why. Back at Build 2023, I talked about the outside AI application structure, where AI moves from operating within the application frame to operating globally, working across multiple apps and services to connect, coordinate, and maintain context across entire workflows, devices, and timescales. What if there were an ecosystem of devices specifically designed for that new type of application structure, for those types of agents, for that transformational interaction technology? That is the impetus behind Project Solera. But with so many possible forms, which one do you pick? What is the next device?
Y tenemos el ordenador. Y dice, ¿cuál es el próximo dispositivo?
Is that it's not about choosing one specific form factor. It is about creating a system that extends your agent across
lo que quieren es un ecosistema nuevo para cualquier dispositivo nuevo.
The next computer is not one device. It is all these devices working together as one system, with agents showing up closer to where and when you need them.
Claro.
To realize this vision, two challenges immediately show up. First, many specialized form factors already exist, but often rely on custom one-off apps and fragmented stacks
that are
difficult and expensive to build, deploy, and maintain. And second, across every industry, people and organizations are already building their own agents, deeply specialized and instrumented for their work. But the impact of those agents is constrained by how and where they can exist. Project Solera addresses both by giving organizations a way to extend their agents onto new,
si os fijáis en el bolsillo, veréis que tiene el dispositivo que salía en el vídeo. No sé si lo va a mostrar.
It's a turnkey solution for building unique agent-first devices enabled by three pillars. First, it's enterprise ready,
preparado para enterprise,
enabled by the AOSP-based Microsoft Device Ecosystem Platform. Second, it has an agent-driven interaction model with just-in-time UI that adapts to the form factor. And third, it has extensibility so you can bring your own agents. And tying it all together is Azure, unifying the system across cloud and device.
Ahí entra.
That's enough of that. Now let's talk about the devices.
Ojo, los
Today
conceptos.
We're previewing two very broad categories. The first is stationary and the second is portable. The first device is designed for your desk and it's built on MediaTek silicon. With Hello for Business, just walking up to the device securely signs you in, giving you direct access to your agents, just like Nathan's about to show you.
Claro, por ejemplo, pues una tienda para
for
temas
the
de citas.
Worker, this means frictionless yet protected access to Microsoft 365 Copilot grounded in Work IQ. And with a simple glance, it surfaces what matters next in your workday, helping you think, plan, and even act by delegating tasks to your agents with a simple tap or just using your voice.
Hostia, tienes el símbolo de GitHub Copilot y todo.
Secured ambient device for work. It even supports experiences like handoff between devices, acting as a companion to your existing Windows PC. Or it can even let you access your cloud PC through Windows 365 and a connected monitor.
Este es el problema.
How cool is that?
Aquí está lo difícil. Pero aquí está lo difícil. Porque si lo atas a Windows, entonces no vas a conseguir que lo use todo el mundo. Ahí está lo difícil. Esto está bonito, ¿eh? Esto me gusta.
Built using Qualcomm silicon for wearable, this digital badge is a lightweight form factor designed for agent interactions on the go. And then it's adaptable across a variety of verticals and workflows.
Ah, mira, lo tiene.
Right. I have here an early prototype of the badge. And so, thanks. And using my fingerprint, I tap to unlock the device, and I have access now to all my agents in a secured manner. And would you look at that, I already have a task. And it says, gather content for your social media post for today. So why not just do it right now, right? So I'm going to hit record, and then now the device's camera is recording. I'm going to pan across. I hope you don't mind.
Hostia, qué curioso que la cámara la tiene en un extremo, no la tiene detrás.
Some good shots from this, clean them up,
curioso,
and then send them
como
to
concepto.
Me, so for me and my team to review. All right. And then there you have it. Now my agent's off, running through multiple tasks to actually clean this up and send them to me and the team. That's pretty cool. Thanks.
Como que me gusta mucho la idea, lo que pasa es que esto tienes que hacerlo como muy abierto, ¿sabes? Que se pudiera conectar con cualquier agente o con cualquier servicio, con cualquier, ¿sabes? O sea, tienes que hacerlo lo más abierto posible, yo creo, para que esto triunfe. Porque si no, si lo haces muy, muy cerrado a un ecosistema como puede ser el de Windows, si no es abierto, lo tiene muy difícil. Tiene que ser abierto, que esté abierto con cualquier API, ¿sabes? Que digan, no, que podrías utilizarlo y manejarlo con Cloud, por ejemplo, ¿sabes? Eso es lo que creo que le daría todo el sentido del mundo, que sí, que funcionase con infraestructura de Azure y tal, pero que pudieras hacer que realmente funcione sin estar tan atado realmente a tu ecosistema, porque si no, es muy difícil. Pero como idea me parece potentísima, o sea, creo que tiene todo el sentido del mundo, la verdad. O sea, no es tanto el dispositivo, sino la idea, ¿sabes? La idea del ecosistema me parece que tiene sentido. Tened en cuenta que estos son dos conceptos que al final no van a ir mucho más allá. Pero el hecho de tener esta capacidad en cualquier tipo de dispositivo de concepto y poder llevártelo, o sea, por ejemplo, del móvil a tu Alexa de casa, de tu Alexa de casa a tus cascos, de tus cascos al ordenador. O sea, que sea algo así tan constante, ¿sabes? En un solo ecosistema. Eso es lo potente. Que sea un solo ecosistema, pero claro, que no estuviese tan atado, que yo creo que ahí es donde estaría el problema. Pero sí que me gusta la idea de, imagínate, poder arrastrar el trabajo de la gente entre tu móvil, entonces vas al comedor, del comedor vas al médico, en la tienda, no sé qué. O sea, eso sí que creo que estaría increíble. Pero lo veo muy, muy difícil. No es tanto IoT, que veo IoT, no es tanto IoT porque os estáis fijando mucho en el dispositivo, pero los dispositivos son conceptos, o sea, es el ecosistema, no tanto que sea programable, sino el tema del ecosistema. Al final esto, como veis, no es tan importante el dispositivo, sino el ecosistema que hay detrás, de que al final esto pues tiene una nube detrás y que realmente estás arrastrando lo que estás haciendo en uno con el otro, se sincroniza, no sé qué, cosas así, que creo que es lo realmente interesante. Creo que esa idea me gusta mucho, el hecho de arrastrar el agente entre diferentes dispositivos. Y creo que esto te puede desbloquear diferentes casos de uso y cosas que puedas hacer en tu vida. Creo que eso puede estar súper bien, ¿no? Por esos projects, es lo que quieren lograr. Claro, ¿no? Y creo que como idea está interesante. A ver.
Here, I have been to this device lab a lot recently.
You know, one of the things that you and I have chatted for a while is how there's a real platform shift. We're moving from building operating systems,
claro,
devices,
es que ahí tiene, yo creo que ese es el
agents.
punto.
You want to talk a little bit about how you see this?
Yeah, absolutely. And every generation of technology transition was in a shift. And I
Hablando
think
del
this one
presidente de Qualcomm.
seems to be a very big one. Agents really changes the whole nature of the device in itself, starting with the fact that, you know, if the AI understand the world the way we understand it, it's going to be closer to our senses. It's going to be closer to our eyes, to our mouth, to our ears. It's going to be things that we wear. And it's changing the nature of the computing. I think you need a computing that is now geared towards real-time context and from silicon to cloud.
I mean, this is sort of one of the reference designs we have, which I love. There's stuff happening at the edge here on this device. There's things on the cloud. You want to talk a little bit about the core systems and silicon implications for such a new ecosystem?
You need a very power efficient CPU. The whole silicon is designed.
Claro, al final, creo que como idea está muy interesante de que están intentando algo. Están intentando algo porque creo que tienen razón en un punto, y yo creo que todos vamos a estar de acuerdo con esto, de que las capacidades que entre la potencia de los nuevos chips, entre la inteligencia artificial y entre lo que pueden hacer los agentes con el cloud conectado a internet, como que hay una oportunidad de desbloquear una nueva plataforma que no entendemos cuál es todavía. Y yo creo que por eso es un proyecto, por eso es experimental. O sea, esto no es un producto que va a salir mañana, sino que hay que tener en cuenta que es como un experimento de vamos a ver qué es lo que se podría hacer con esto, ¿no? Creo que como experimento está interesante, pero todavía no somos conscientes un poco de las implicaciones que realmente vamos a poder hacer. Como exploración, a mí me parece que tiene sentido, pero es verdad que le veo complicaciones. Le veo complicaciones porque estamos muy atados al móvil. Veo muy difícil cambiar el móvil y la gente siempre va a estar más dispuesta a tener un móvil que en otra cosa. Pero tened en cuenta que, por ejemplo, aquí habla del batch ese como si fuese, no tanto como el móvil que te vas a llevar, sino como si fuese el batch del trabajo, pero que imagínate que pudieras tener esta funcionalidad extra de que tenga tu agente y todo esto, ¿no? Bueno, o sea, lo que quieren ver es hasta dónde pueden llevar este tema de los agentes que se conecte al cloud. Lo que me parece difícil es convencer. Claro, tienes que estar muy en el ecosistema de Microsoft y ahí creo que es lo que tiene que tener difícil. Sí, pero ten en cuenta que esto es como un carnet como el que justamente llevo en mi cuello y tiene un chip para abrir puertas. Claro, pero de nuevo, es que creo que nos confundiríamos si pusiéramos el foco en el dispositivo, ¿sabes? O sea, creo que no es tanto el dispositivo, es más el ecosistema, como el ecosistema. Igualmente, pensaba que iba a pasar a modelos y contexto y no, o sea, han hecho el proyecto Solana justamente para para el primer paso, o sea que ahora es que va a hablar de modelos y todo esto. Así que vamos.
In some sense, hem in what you can imagine, the type of form factors,
¿ves?
where your agents
Es que está hablando un poco de eso.
I think always whenever these new platforms have come, you get to rewrite even the rules of how new platforms operate. And that's what we are trying to get done with Project Solara so that you as developers and enterprises have the flexibility to imagine the form factors that you want and have your agents be ubiquitous. Now let's go up the stack
Venga,
to the next
modelos,
layer.
Contexto y herramientas.
We are building a new intelligence layer, bringing together the models,
están construyendo
context, as well as the tools.
Ojo, una nueva capa de modelos. 11.000 modelos disponibles tienen Foundry Models.
Choose the right model for the right task and their eval mix, latency budget, even COGS budgets. And Foundry today has over 11,000 models. It's the largest model catalog out there. From OpenAI to Anthropic, and of course even MAI models. And just last week, we brought the OpenAI real-time voice models along with Claude Opus 4.8 to Foundry. So we're continuing to bring all these frontier models.
Vaya colección.
The consideration, though, about the models is becoming now increasingly key. In fact, from the last developer conference to now, when you're building any agentic system, having this context really shaped right is becoming super important. And in fact, it starts right at the data tier, right? The data estate to date has been built for applications that supported these user-facing applications, right? Now you have to change and build them for agents, which again, have very different call patterns even to the data tier. Agents are continuously storing, retrieving, reasoning, acting, and learning, right? That's sort of what's happening in a continuous loop. And you see that today. Agents are using things like Cosmos DB for their memory. In fact, ChatGPT does. Azure Search is used for retrieval of indices and embeddings. Fabric IQ for the semantic models and the ontologies. It's kind of the business logic tier effectively for agents. And also, you have Fabric real-time intelligence for all the observability traces, which now brings me to a very exciting new service, Horizon DB, which is our fully managed PostgreSQL service on Azure.
En public preview con funciones de inteligencia artificial y pipelines integrados, 3 veces más rápido en búsquedas vectoriales.
A Postgres managed service which was for high availability scale out. It's zone
1500 gigas de memoria RAM puedes configurar.
128 terabytes of storage per cluster. 15 read replicas. I mean, the read heavy workloads you can scale with this managed service. And in our internal testing, we're seeing something like, Horizon is delivering 3x throughput compared to any self-managed PostgreSQL setup. So it's super critical when you think about the scale you need. The other data workload we're also changing pretty dramatically is the data warehouse. In a world where agents are constantly querying data, the data warehouse effectively becomes a pretty mission critical, right? I mean,
almacén de datos
to
ahora.
have it be mission critical for users, but when agents need the analysis done on the fly, bringing GPU acceleration to Fabric is super key, and we are seeing 7x performance gains.
Es que
so it's really
ahora van a meter aceleración GPU a todos los servicios. Hasta 7 veces más rápida las queries en Fabric, que es el sistema de datos de Azure.
The layer above this is the IQ layer that we are building that brings together essentially the model capabilities along with the data, right? So you kind of mix the data and the model capabilities so that you can deliver that right context to unlock intelligence, right? That's where, in fact, if you want, when people talk about token efficiency, this is perhaps the most important consideration, right? If you structure the context right and feed the models, then you will, by definition, going to be so much more token efficient. The first domain is the web. Web grounding.
Inteligencia web para la era agéntica.
You need that fresh, high quality.
Pues necesitas datos frescos. Los modelos no tienen.
And that's why we are really, really excited to announce today WebIQ.
WebIQ. Una forma de buscar con inteligencia artificial en la web. Más eficiente en tokens, con poca latencia. Buah, aquí se les ha adelantado a Google. Diseñado para LLMs, agnóstico respecto a cómo se conecta con MCPs. Buah.
So agents can ground responses in fresh, verifiable content. And WebIQ leads across all of the 3 key criteria, right? It's best in class in quality, it's best in class in speed, as well as in cost. So we're very, very thrilled about WebIQ being in the developers' hands as you build out agentic systems.
El más eficiente, más rápido y la mejor calidad.
Stopping there, beyond the web, every developer wants to be able to ground their agents on what's the most valuable data across the enterprise. And so we are bringing together Foundry, Fabric, and Microsoft 365 as this unified IQ layer, right? It's a continuously updated understanding of your organization to show you all of this rich IQ.
O sea, básicamente es una forma de mezclar todos los datos que tienen de tu empresa y poder tomar decisiones. La verdad es que suena bastante interesante.
Agents are only as good as the context we give them. Microsoft IQ unifies enterprise intelligence for every organization. I'm here at a Power Utilities Control Center and we'll start by...
Esto es muy empresarial, pero esto es tremendo, ¿eh? Para muchas empresas que les cuesta muchas veces las empresas el problema que tienen es que tienen muchos datos y que les cuesta realmente pues extraer datos internos que tengan decisiones y tal. Entonces esto lo que está haciendo es como que está mezclando toda la información que tiene la empresa, está conectando todos los datos que tiene y a partir de ahí lo puedes conectar con diferentes herramientas y te des todo el conocimiento. ¿Ves? Aquí tenía para añadir los conocimientos IQ, ¿vale? Puedes tener documentos, bases de datos, esto es brutal. Y puedes publicar como una web y te hace como un chat GPT que le puedes hablar. Claro, mira, le puedes hacer una pregunta sobre tus datos.
I'm going to ask about current electricity prices in SF. For this, our agent pulls in the first IQ in our toolbox, WebIQ, search built for the AI era. WebIQ.
Claro, esto en este momento está utilizando el servicio de WebIQ. WebIQ al final es como una API que en realidad vas a poder llamar para recuperar datos de internet. Claro, ahora como ha hecho una pregunta realmente sobre cómo han sido los precios de la electricidad en San Francisco para que sea no sé cuánto, vale. Y ahí te está dando pues los datos como si fuese un ChatGPT y ya está. Pero claro, ahora lo interesante, sino que ahora también lo podrías comparar, como por ejemplo le podrías decir, oye, pero ¿qué es lo que he ido pagando yo realmente en los últimos meses? ¿Sabes? ¿He estado pagando por encima del mercado o por debajo, por no sé qué, no sé cuánto? Y eso creo que está bastante bien. Claro, ¿ves? Ahí está hablando de sus. ¿Vale? Está combinando el conocimiento de la web con sus datos.
Fabric IQ. Here is Brightline's grid represented as a fabric ontology.
Esto es como toda la información de la empresa.
Of the live grid. And critically, we didn't build this from scratch. Fabric takes the Power BI semantic models used by millions of customers today and lets teams extend them into rich ontologies that help run the business. This model is coupled with live telemetry, so it reflects the real operational state of the grid minute by minute. This is what Microsoft IQ means by enterprise
esto es brutal. O sea, le está haciendo dashboards. O sea, le ha dicho, hazme dashboards, no sé qué, no sé cuánto, de los datos, pero estos dashboards son de datos, son de información suya. O sea, que ellos no han hecho esos dashboards a mano, solo ha hecho inteligencia artificial.
Turning back to our agent, we can see that it gave us a table of our most exposed substations. That's the agent querying the ontology you just saw. Now, the agent has access to both the outside world and our grid. The last piece is the one that turns a situation into a response. Our policies and our people.
El sueño de todo manager.
By asking,
total.
what are the steps to respond to a substation trip, we activate the final layer of Microsoft IQ, Work IQ. This is Brightline's response procedure in SharePoint. It's the playbook the team actually reaches for when something goes wrong. And the important thing is, the agent isn't working from a stale upload or copied snapshot.
Está
It's
chulo.
answering from the same
Sí,
source the team
tiene
maintains
algo parecido a
day to
Databricks.
day. When the procedure changes, the answer changes with it. No re-uploads, no prompt rebuilds, and no stale versions.
Es que este tipo de
And
cosas...
critically, this is your knowledge. The assets you create stay with you, no matter what model or agent is reasoning over them. Now, if we return to our agent, we can see the proper way to respond to this issue. Not a generic recommendation, but our playbook applied to this incident. Now, we just saw one situation, 3 questions, and 1 connected answer. Now let's go check back in on our long-running agent. And, let's just check the backup really quick. Moment of truth. And, boom. Our task finished. Here we can see every step the agent took. First, beginning with Web IQ, connecting it to the outside world. Second, Fabric IQ through Foundry, anchoring it in the real state of our operations. And third, Work IQ, grounding it in our people and procedures.
No, básicamente lo que ha pasado es que está utilizando, hay como un agente que está en tiempo real constantemente revisando ciertas cosas, y aquí lo que puede ver es el incidente y podemos ver todos los eventos que ha ejecutado. Son 27 eventos y aquí, pues como podéis ver, pues está diciendo, vale, las tareas que había que hacer, ha ido notificando a gente de diferentes equipos, ha hecho la tarea, y esto lo ha hecho un agente de inteligencia artificial, ¿sabes? En base al incidente que ha habido, sin necesidad de que hayas estado tú ahí pues pendiente y tal, aparte de más allá de lo que hemos visto del IQ.
And their people all in one place they can trust. Back to you, Satya.
A ver, muy interesante, muy parecido a los servicios que tienes sobre todo con Databricks y cosas así. Tema de datos, los datos son el rey de cualquier empresa, y claro, si lo tienes en la infraestructura de Azure, tener todo este tipo de cosas, la verdad es que es bastante tremendo. Pero, como podéis ver, se ha saltado totalmente. Yo pensaba que iban a anunciar algún tipo de modelo de inteligencia artificial, pero parece ser que no, que se han enfocado más en datos y directamente van a agentes. Así que vamos a hablar de agentes.
In Azure. We want Windows to be a fantastic place to
Windows
run
que sea un buen sitio para ejecutar agentes.
Agents effectively are a new execution environment, right? It's a new paradigm even. They reason continuously.
Curioso que todavía nos quedan herramientas de desarrollo. O sea,
they take actions across files and devices as well as across the network. Obviously, there's a lot of power in it, right? The fact that it can generate code and act on it on a long-running agent that's autonomous. But obviously, it creates new risk. And that's why today we're introducing Microsoft Execution Containers or
Microsoft
MXC.
Execution
MXC
Containers.
is a new
Máquinas virtuales con contenedores, contenedores de aplicación y contenedores de proceso.
Using AI native or rather, OS native primitives, right? You need to bake this into the operating system so that the containment is enforced by
O sea,
policy.
para que los agentes se ejecuten de forma aislada.
Level isolation for lightweight agent actions. You can have session level isolation for user separation. So Windows and Linux virtual machines, in fact, are also great, including WSL for much stronger boundaries. And in fact, if you want full isolation and containment, Windows 365 for agents for maximum isolation.
O sea, que puedes aislar a diferentes niveles, ¿eh?
You can pick the right containment option for the workload.
Bueno, esto tiene bastante sentido, ¿eh?
Via MXC. And so I think this becomes pretty critical as you think about deploying agents at scale on your Windows
para no ejecutar agentes en cualquier máquina.
We want to ensure containment is enforced, of course, regardless of who builds the agent, right? So this is why you want to bake it into the operating system. To that end, we are working with many partners to ensure that containment building supports real developer workloads.
De hecho, Manus es verdad que ejecuta muchos sandbox.
In fact, NVIDIA
y claro, estos contenedores serían en la nube.
To securely execute autonomous AI agents. And today, we are really thrilled to announce that OpenClaw runs on Windows leveraging MXC.
OpenClaw funcionando en Windows. Aprovechando justamente los Microsoft
Yeah, we are very deeply engaged with the team to make OpenClaw run super well on Windows. And so let me hand it over to my colleagues Scott and Samantha to show you OpenClaw on Windows.
Scott Hasselman. Este es uno de los que han venido a arreglar Windows, Scott Hasselman.
Friends, you know, OpenClaw came out in November of last year and it took the world by storm. And for the last several months, I've been using my OpenClaw to stay on top of my health. My claw can help me manage my blood sugar, and it gives me even proactive notifications via heartbeat.
Bueno, OpenClaw en Windows.
Triaging my personal email, it's doing my GitHub issues, and tracking packages, and it even buys me movie tickets.
OpenClaw so Samantha, Windows Companion. Qué buena pinta tiene esto.
I turned my OpenClaw agent into my triathlon coach. I'm nowhere near ready for my race in September, but Coach Claude developed a work-back plan for me and is using my Strava data to notify me on how I'm progressing and to keep me accountable when I'm slacking.
Now, we've both found our claws to be super useful, and that's why we're working closely with OpenClaw to make them successful and even more successful on Windows. We've been collaborating in the open on GitHub to bring you all an OpenClaw Windows companion app. It's going to help you set up your own claws or connect to existing ones, whether they're hosted in Windows or in WSL. And the Windows companion, we're going to sandbox the OpenClaw tool calls to keep you and your system safe.
Qué bueno.
Yeah, you'll see the OpenClaw Windows companion app running right now in the background. Go ahead and right-click on it, Scott.
All right.
Ostras.
That looks awesome. You'll notice immediately it looks like a native Windows app because it is. It's written in WinUI 3. It's got all kinds of information about my gateway, other machines that are participating in my claw, my sessions,
puedes ver las capacidades en Windows, las sesiones, el uso, los permisos que tiene y los puedes conectar o desconectar. Bueno, perdonad que estoy justo en medio. Y encima tienes un software totalmente... Mira, todos los permisos. Oye, muy chulo esto, ¿eh?
Now, this sandbox is really interesting because this is using MXC, the Microsoft Execution Containers, and for this, we're going to be using process isolation. Now, newer versions of Windows are going to have even more containment options, so you're going to want to keep an eye out for more news with MXC in the future. Now, I can see that I've got one-click security option settings, but Samantha, talk to me about custom
Mira, le puedes decir que solo pueda leer, que pueda escribir justo las aplicaciones que tú quieras. Muy bien, ¿eh?
And really granular security features like clipboard access or talking to the internet itself. Now,
que pueda leer el
I've given
clipboard.
it read-only desktop, read access to your desktop folder. OpenClaw already has a rich safety layer, and that layer is only augmented more by appropriate containment that can be managed by me or policies applied by IT. Now, for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to do something really scary and ask OpenClaw to delete all the files on your desktop.
That's cool, because I have a nice clean desktop.
I think you're keeping a secret. You hid all your icons from the audience while we were on stage. I think we need to show the audience who you really are.
So disrespectful. I know where everything is. Just don't touch my stuff. I know where they are. You know, Sam, I need to make sure that you're clear that a messy desktop is an organized mind. I'm pretty sure that that's
Mira, le ha dicho que borre todos los archivos JPEG del escritorio.
We've asked OpenClaw to delete those files from the Windows node, and the only thing that is going to keep from happening is MXC, because we've turned off all of the many layers that OpenClaw offers, but our IT, in this case Samantha, has set it to read-only. So it's trying to go and delete all of those files. We can actually see the different attempts where it's going and deleting and then checking the directory and then deleting again.
Intentando borrar,
because
pero
it's
no va
very
a poder.
persistent. It wants these files gone, and
No va a poder porque no tiene
I want them
permisos.
to stay. Nope. The read-only sandbox is there. 94 JPEGs are still on the desktop. Absolutely. My desktop icons are safe from Samantha's reign of terror.
Foiled again.
Oh, my goodness. So bad.
Today we've seen security sandboxing, WinUI 3, and open
bien,
source brought together all in this alpha release of a Windows companion app. We think this app is a great opportunity to showcase OpenClaw on Windows, and it's only going to get better in the coming months.
That is right. And by the way, I want to note that we're doing all this development work on this calm Windows development machine with all the tools that I love, like WSL, containers and containment.
Mira, aquí se puede ver todo el desarrollo que
Copilot
están
with
haciendo.
multi-model support ready to go. Now, this is literally how the team and I have been working on the OpenClaw app on GitHub. Now, people might wonder how all of this came together.
Es de código abierto,
Turns
la
out that
aplicación.
over the holidays, I got a DM from this random guy on the internet, and it took me a couple of days to get back to him. And then when I did, we just had this kind of cool idea that maybe he should come to Microsoft Build. Now, I think there's one more person that we all want to thank for bringing the next generation of agents to world.
Es el creador de
Everybody
OpenClaw.
put your hands together for the Claw Father himself, Peter Steinberger.
¡Ostras! ¡Ostras! ¡Sorpresa!
Samantha, it's just showing off my secret DMs. I'm so excited to see OpenClaw native on Windows. You know, watching a claw try to delete all your desktop file and just fail made me really happy. Because 6 months ago, that totally would have worked. You know, I built OpenClaw to have access to everything. You know, my files, my machines, my chats, always on and fully open source. That's what makes it so powerful. And that's what also makes companies a bit nervous. You know, what I kept hearing was, Peter, I love my claw. Can I use this at work? And that's what we spent the last few months on, with Microsoft, GitHub, OpenAI, NVIDIA, just to name a few. We added observability. We added auto mode for permissions. We changed how access works. It's not all or nothing anymore. You can pick which folder should be read-only, which one should be write or hidden.
Qué buena pinta.
So here's the news. You can totally run OpenClaw inside your company now. And we even made the harness itself a plugin. You can bring your own. Copilot, Codex, whatever you already trust, and your rules come right with it. And then you put OpenClaw on top of it. You get persistent memory, heartbeats, and you get a claw right inside Slack or Teams. It's been really exciting to see OpenClaw grow into something much bigger, a global movement and a community. And I started the OpenClaw Foundation, a real non-profit, so it stays open
Ha creado
and neutral.
una fundación.
Any model, any operating system.
Para cualquier sistema operativo, cualquier
Because
modelo.
we are entering a new era of building with agents. More capability for the people who don't code.
Es que eso es lo que hace que lo pete.
And we get to do this. We get to build it together in the open. So my task is simple. Come build with us. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Bueno.
Thank you very much to Peter. Thank you to Samantha. Thank you to the companion app team for their hard work. Thank you to the OpenClaw community for giving everyone here a workstation of their own. And as we walk out, I want to remind you that that's the first time you've ever seen OpenClaw running on a Surface Laptop Ultra.
Se está ejecutando en un Surface Laptop Ultra. Oye, muy buen anuncio.
Thank you so much,
muy buena pinta,
Samantha,
muy buena
Scott,
pinta.
and Peter. It's so wonderful to see OpenClaw come to Windows. and have all of that capability in terms of the security and that comfort to be able to have these long-running agents and unmetered intelligence come together. So now let's move from the Windows side on the edge to the cloud with Foundry. And we are building Foundry into this full application
Ahora hablar de Azure
platform
otra vez
for the
con
agent
Foundry,
era, right? I mean,
que ya sabéis que Foundry es donde
every
puedes ejecutar
era of
agentes,
the
modelos.
Platform shift. When we moved to the cloud, we had the cloud native app stack, and now we have the agent native app stack in Foundry. We're particularly excited about the Foundry hosted agent as a runtime for long-running agents. Agents now have, so if you're building in Foundry hosted agents, you can have all the IQ layers, you have the tools, you have the durability and the memory and the state. You have your own sandbox. In fact, it's a super fast sandbox that you can spin up. You can generate the rubrics and the evals. You can, in fact, have all the safety and the guardrails around your agentic system. And in fact, even one of the coolest things in Foundry is it's a continuously improving loop even, right? It's got that self-improvement loop built in, right? So you build an agent that's continuously getting better. And I'm really also excited today to announce a partnership with Fireworks AI, bringing, in fact, all of their open weight models to Foundry. That means
Fireworks
giving US
AI.
developers more choices,
Un montón de modelos, la
as
gente de
well as
Fireworks.
their great inference stack to build the next generation of these agentic applications with all the enterprise rails that Foundry has, as well as the governance Foundry has. So really excited about that partnership.
Agentes everywhere.
And so now that brings us to the tools.
Venga,
GitHub
herramientas.
itself is at the heart of all this.
Herramientas de desarrolladores.
In fact, Jensen spoke to this. The GitHub is not just about
Ojo,
the code
GitHub.
repo.
Ahí tenemos
It's
GitHub.
becoming the control plane for all the agents. And nearly everything we measure on GitHub, whether it's repo
el crecimiento de
creation,
GitHub,
PR activity, API
Dios.
usage, actions, all of them
Dios.
are growing faster because of these agentic workflows. This new scale is driven by humans and agents collaborating together. And we're exposing our tooling across every form factor. In fact, we've seen tremendous growth in CLI, driven, the approachability of the CLI form factor. It's always been great to go to a terminal. And now, though, when combined with the power of the models and natural language, CLI has become the thing that everybody goes to. But at the end of the day, when you have hundreds of CLIs, it becomes pretty complicated. It doesn't scale, especially the cognitive load that I have when you have 100 CLI sessions open is such that you kind of need something new. And so that's what has led us to build, we need like this tool essentially that has the speed and the flexibility of a CLI, but has the capability of an IDE and the ability to scale to infinite number of agent sessions. And so today we are taking that next big step, introducing our new GitHub Copilot app.
Vamos. Bueno, pero la GitHub Copilot app, si no me equivoco, es la que os he enseñado antes.
It's not sufficient, right? Because you still have a backend to deal with, right? Code is easy to generate, but what about the backend?
Tenían que
So you need to
haber
contend with identities, storage, database schemas, and that's why we're really super excited about Rayfin. Rayfin is an agent-first SDK that connects your agents to a backend as a service, and we're bringing this to everywhere you build. That's why I'm again super excited about Rayfin and the partnership with Replit. You can now build apps in Replit while you can build the app in Replit while the app and data are deployed into the enterprise managed Fabric tenant thanks to the Rayfin SDK. And so this Rayfin SDK is available now for anyone else to be able to use with their tools as a backend and essentially have this backend service. And now to show you all of the Foundry and Rayfin and building agents and the long-running agents, let me invite up on stage Cassidy. Cassidy, take it away.
Cassidy Williams. Cassidy Williams.
Everyone.
Ostras, qué
I'm
grande.
so excited to
Una
be
crack.
amongst my fellow devs today. This has been a long day. Fix your shoulders, sit back, get ready.
Ahora es
I see
Developer
a lot of you
Advocate.
sitting up. Great, great. I know
Senior
you're drinking from the
Director.
fire
Ostras,
hose
cómo ha
of
subido
information
Cassidy
today, so I
Williams,
want you
tío.
to go into the next few minutes thinking, what can I try out on my laptop later today?
A ver,
So
GitHub
as
Copilot
Satya said, we're going to show you
ahora.
Rayfin, but
GitHub
first,
Copilot.
I can't wait to show you the new GitHub Copilot app. This app is your home base for development and operations on your computer, and we think you're going to love it. So let me show you around.
La verdad es que me gusta
When
mucho
you
la
open up the
aplicación de
app from
GitHub
the start,
Copilot
you
app.
see this home screen here, where you can kick off a new agentic coding session. But also, before I get into the serious stuff, you can drag Mona around, and there's a game. Look, it's so fun. Okay, I'm not very good at it, so let's just get back to, you can kick off a new agentic coding session. So I started off one a little bit earlier here, and it gave me a review of a bunch of release blockers. Which one should I fix? Call it out. 8, 3, the critical ones. You know what? How about we just do all of them? Let's go. This app will now kick off a separate session for every single issue here. I don't have to worry about stashing or coding complex or anything, because the app takes care of that.
Claro, eso es lo que está bien de esto, ¿eh?
Git work trees
No es
are
Codex,
isolated
esto es
environments
GitHub
for each
Copilot
session that you
app.
run, so your agents can work in parallel without stepping on each other. But you still have to merge them, right? So Copilot has your back there too. If I head over, not to this one, but to this issue here, I can run agent merge. And when I enable agent merge, Copilot will continuously babysit this PR through
Esto está
CI
muy
checks,
chulo, ¿eh?
code review, and merge conflicts. Okay, let me keep showing you around while those are still running. Now, if I head over to my work, I can see a focused view of all of my activity and just projects loaded in the app, issues and PRs, everything here. And then under automations, I have a bunch of reusable sessions and workflows that can run locally or on the cloud. You see there's issue poetry there. That is real, and that is load-bearing. Okay, and now under sessions, like I briefly showed earlier, these are sessions. If I want to add a new repository, I can click that button here, and it can pull from a local repo or from a GitHub repository.
Ese botón
and then if I were to
lo
just
añadí yo.
add one,
Luego os
I can
explico.
add a session in Pocket
Luego os
Cal. This is an
explico.
open source repo. I can start a session anywhere, and it just loads it. I don't have to clone. I don't have to pull. It just works. Now, when I look at a session within this repository, let me look at this other one over here.
¡Ostras!
I get an integrated browser. There's a terminal. I can see the chat. It's
que
all
puede
loaded.
abrir el
I can
navegador,
even
es
toggle
verdad.
light mode and dark mode in here. And there's also this great button, Pick and Polish, where if I click that, I can pick and polish anything in this app, and it adds it to the chat. And I can say, hey, I want you to add reordering to this list. And it'll just work, all living in there. I have access to all the most popular models via my single GitHub Copilot subscription, including those from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google. You can see all of them in our model picker. And having model choice is great. Not only can you pick the right model for the task, but for bigger features, Copilot can request a rubber duck review. So in this session here, for example, I was using GPT 5.5, but if I scroll up, it actually requested one from Claude Opus 4.8. All models have blind spots, and the power of the Copilot multi-model approach means that I can catch them earlier. And this is all very cool, but working with AI in 2026 should be more than just chat. You just saw me scrolling that. There's so many words here. So today, I'm very excited to show you the concept of a canvas. I'm going to open one right there. The canvas is how an agent can build a custom UI to communicate with you. What if your AI could see? Everyone say, demo gods, bless us. Okay, let's see if it works. Here is a fun canvas where, if I get the camera going, okay, the agent shows your PRs down here, and I can toggle it with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Let's approve it. Hey, it's so fun. And they could go so much deeper if you want.
Esto debe ser una feature oculta, me imagino, porque eso no lo había visto yo.
This is a signal box app. It's 100% agent built. It's containerized with a database backend. Would you be able to deploy this to your enterprise with no questions asked? Be honest. No, yes, exactly, no. But you can with Rayfin. And that is very, very exciting. Let me open up a
mira,
new
interesante.
terminal over here.
Vamos a entender esto de Raven.
All I have to do is type Raven up. And then, demo gods bless us, come on. It will maybe deploy. Blammo, it's happening, yes! And all hosted on Microsoft Fabric. Okay, I know that's a lot. With Raven, your agents get a complete enterprise backend, so you can deploy with confidence in the way that's best for you. But this is the key thing to remember. This app
no he terminado de entender
is
lo de
not
Raven.
just another session manager. Yes, it is. It manages a lot of sessions.
O sea,
but session managers just make it easy to create work. But GitHub Copilot helps you to finish it.
Me voy a tener que
Thank
mirar
you so
porque
much.
ahí
Happy Pride. Back to you,
lo de
Satya.
Raven pensaba que era una cosa y ahora he entendido otra. Bueno, a ver, la herramienta de GitHub Copilot me parece un melocotonazo. O sea, está muy bien pensada. El tema es que ahora tenemos el tema de la suscripción, pero está muy bien pensada. O sea, es manejar tu GitHub todo sin tener que clonarte los proyectos, trabajar con ellos totalmente en remoto y poder tratar tus issues, las pull requests y tal. O sea, tiene muy, muy buena pinta. Bueno, vamos a ver qué tal, cómo continúa esto, que observabilidad y seguridad. Vamos a ver. Uy, perdón.
On your behalf, right? You just want that work on behalf identity to be enforced. So we extended Entra. Agents need real-time defense, so we extended Defender. Agents require this always-on data protections and compliance, so we extended Purview. And these agents can be hosted anywhere. They can be on AWS, GCP, not just on Azure, or built with any framework. And today we're announcing a number of updates, including the GA of Agent 365 SDK, and we're expanding it to your local agents running on Windows and elsewhere, and the clause you just saw earlier. And let us take a look at how all of Agent 365 composes. Over to you, Amanda.
Amanda Foster.
Everyone is building agents, but that's not the hard part anymore. The hard part is integrating them into your business and governing them at scale. Today, I'll show you how Foundry makes this easy. Let's start locally. I've already built a LangGraph agent, and now I'll show you the value Foundry adds. First, tools. Agents need tools to get work done, and with Foundry Toolbox, I just add my tools once, and any agent can consume them through a single MCP endpoint. And because tools live centrally, that means governance does as well. I've applied a guardrail which blocks PII from leaking into tool calls and tool responses, and all I have to do is apply this once.
No, puro Windows, ha salido puro Windows, ni una Mac. Fuera.
Now, let's make this agent enterprise ready. To deploy this agent to Foundry, all I have to do is add this one block of code, and then I push my changes, and GitHub Actions takes it from there. Once deployed, I can actually use this agent in the same Foundry extension I showed you earlier, and let's now test it out. I'm asking it to track a few open items from a stand-up I had earlier today, and what's actually happening right now is Foundry is spinning up a dedicated micro VM just for this session. And the session even gets its own persistent file system. What you're going to see in a minute here is if I go to the Files tab to track the open items, the agent's actually writing to a file. Pretty cool, right? Plus, Foundry now has server-side traces and built-in evals to show me exactly what happened on every run. But how do I know if my agent's doing a good job? That's what Foundry's brand new rubric evaluators are for.
Básicamente está enseñando cómo utilizar Agents 365 SDK. Microsoft Agent 365 es como para poder ejecutar agentes en operaciones dentro de empresas, para hacer servicios de IT, que es un poco parecido a lo que está haciendo, pero con un SDK. Claro que está muy interesante porque antes era como más tener que entrar a un dashboard y tal, pero es que ahora el hecho de que puedas hacer todo esto desde código con SDK, esto lo puedes meter dentro de tu lógica de negocio, dentro de tu código, y hombre, eso está bastante interesante, que antes estaba un poquito limitado. el hecho de tener que hacerlo visualmente y ya está. Entonces, ahora lo que está enseñando es el SDK que te permite controlarlo y meterlo pues, dentro de tu código, porque imagínate que por lo que sea, cuando ocurra algo, pues quieres, pues cuando entra un candidato, pues los quieres que le dé una puntuación y que se conecte con los datos de la empresa y tal. Bueno, está bastante interesante, porque hasta ahora no se podía hacer así. Uy, a ver, no me deja. Ay, no.
Updating the model and the system prompt. Foundry then makes it super easy to deploy the best candidate as a brand new agent version. But this is not a one-time thing. Every run feeds the next eval, and every eval tells the optimizer where to improve next. So your agents now get better the more they're used. But now, let's put this agent to work. I've published my agent to Teams and M365 Copilot, and right now I'm gonna ask it to just catch me up on what I've missed, because I've been offline all morning, but my agent hasn't. While it works on that, though, let me explain what makes this agent different. This is an autopilot agent, which means it has its own identity and productivity license, so it can work across M365 on its own behalf. Earlier, you saw me using this agent by myself, but shipping a feature in a new release takes a whole team, and that's why this agent lives in our team's group chat. Now let's check out how it did. It summarized all updates and called out the key features I need to be tracking. But to put an agent like this actually to work in your enterprise, governance needs to come first. And that's why every autopilot agent requires admin approval. Here, admins can review
cada
all
gente
critical
tiene sus
details, and they
permisos,
can
a qué
even
acceso
choose who has
tiene,
the ability
qué es
to
lo que
talk
puede
to the
hacer.
agent. But it doesn't end there. Even after approval, admins can continue to monitor the agent and block it at any time. But governance cannot apply to just one agent. Every agent in your organization needs to be managed with the same rigor as users, apps, and devices. And that's exactly what Microsoft Agent 365 provides. So let's zoom out. Today we saw Foundry accelerate development, take your agent from local to enterprise ready, and put it to work in M365. Foundry makes it simple. You build the agent, we handle the rest. Now back to you, Satya.
Thank you, Amanda.
Interesante.
What you just saw was how we're building security for AI. But there's
Security
also
for
one
AI.
other critical aspect, especially
Ojo, seguridad.
the news today is all about how do you defend yourself using AI against
Seguridad
attacks
con AI.
that may in fact be using AI, right? So last month we announced our multi-model agentic security system, M-Dash. That's essentially an agent harness for security, essentially.
Los arneses de la inteligencia artificial.
We're bringing together 100 agents across the frontier and custom models to really find these exploitable bugs better than any single model does. In fact, when we debuted this harness,
bueno, esto es lo típico de que buscan errores y vulnerabilidades en el código.
So I want you to take a look at what you can do with M-Dash to really defend against AI attacks and defend the entire digital estate. Over to you, Sarah.
M-Dash.
Thanks, Satya. Now, we all know that security scans can take a while, so I'm not going to do one live. So let me show you the results of an M-Dash scan I already ran on my code base. Now, the system runs as a standalone CLI, but today I'm using it in my GitHub Copilot app on my local dev machine. The scan is broken down by vulnerability domains and severity. And it's also, an additional to finding traditional issues like coding errors and hard-coded secrets, it's also identifying AI-specific vulnerabilities in the code base. Now, what happened under the hood is that over 100 specialized agents are working together to discover, debate, and prove exploitable vulnerabilities end-to-end. And when the scan finishes, it generates both a SARIF log and an HTML report that I can give to my management. Now, the Defender Details command allows me to dig into these vulnerabilities, and I can see what the vulnerability is, where it is in my code, and the severity to help me prioritize. And from here, of course, we're going to fix it. Now, using the defender fix command, the system will remediate suggested fixes directly in my local dev environment. And when that's done, I can check out the diff. So I have full transparency
estoy viendo
about
que es un
what the
servicio que ahora
harness
mismo
has
está en beta
done,
privada.
and I still have a
M-dash.
human in the loop check. But, of course, everything I've shown you so far has run locally, but I can also create a PR to plug into my existing workflows and push up to my repo, and I can take the Serif output from the scan, and I can upload it to tools like GitHub Advanced Security and manage everything alongside my other application security findings. Now, I've shown you M- working on my code, but let me show you a vulnerability our security research teams identified using M- that you can go and look up yourself. So the TLDR, because this is a lot to read, of this bug is the
Obviamente ya está cerrada la vulnerabilidad.
Date map of an object, runs off the end, and then it crashes the host. So this is exactly the kind of bug that the harness was built for, because the flaw is spread across 3 different parts of the code base. So no single file looks wrong on its own. They look absolutely fine. And we can even see here, which is probably my favorite part of this bug, a very confident statement from the developers claiming everything is fine. Now, this is exactly the sort of reassurance that fools normal scanners and single AI models. But M- wasn't fooled. One team of agents spotted the suspicious gap, another team argued it apart, and a third team built a working example that actually triggered the crash. And it did all of this in an open source code base. And this is the kind of joined up reasoning that previously required significant manual security research effort. This is M- helping developers create secure code from the start. Coming soon to your CLI and the Microsoft Defender portal.
Coming soon.
Back to you, Satya.
En tu CLI y en Windows Defender. O sea,
so
todavía no.
The stack. Before the
todavía no está disponible.
Unpacking more of the opportunity.
¿Uy? ¿Qué pasó? Manifest. No sé qué ha pasado. Pero yo no he sido.
Partners at Mantis VC. Under previous role, it says they sold out Madison Square Garden. Please help me welcome Alex and Drew from the Chainsmokers. Alex, Drew.
Yo no he sido. Oye, M- tiene muy buena pinta y estaba mirando de que justamente tiene mejor puntuación que cualquier otro servicio de captura de vulnerabilidades y bugs. Y, o sea, lo que pasa es que está en beta privada, todavía no está disponible. Pensaba que lo iban a hacer disponible ahora.
But you know, it's so. I thought maybe they're your fans. But tell me about.
Están hablando de la aplicación de GitHub Copilot.
Now, for what 12 plus years as venture capitalists or angel investors first, and you've had your firm now for 7+ years, and you even picked what I would have not thought is the natural place, which is B2B SaaS, even as the first place. But just give us a little bit about the backstory on this.
Sure. Well. Hey, I'm sure you guys are wondering what timeline you're on, where the Chainsmokers are at Microsoft, Bill. But hey, how are you? We've been in the Chainsmokers for 14 years.
Un DJ.
And when our music started to take off in the mid 2010s, we got to play a few events like this, and we met a lot of the founders from the consumer mobile cloud era of startups, and they taught us a lot and gave us a front row seat into what early stage investing was like. We fell in love with it. We found we had a lot in common with these founders, and the way that they built their business was the same way that we thought about starting the Chainsmokers and kind of breaking through the noise there.
Se llaman The Chainsmokers. Ostras, al final son dos DJs, me da la sensación, que están hablando un poquito de que han creado su propio fondo de inversión y que obviamente pues están invirtiendo en temas de inteligencia artificial, ¿no? Que han hablado con otros fundadores y tal, ¿no? Me sorprende un poco esta colaboración aquí. Vamos a ver. A ver qué dice.
Put side, which we've been experimenting with in music, but always important to have your authenticity when it comes to creativity. But on the investment side, I think we're moving from producing outputs to producing actions, which I think presents like a very interesting opportunity to kind of reimagine the entire architecture of the way software and enterprise has been built. So instead of humans, producing outputs, it's machines producing outputs, and rethinking what that entire space looks like in that context.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic to see that. And maybe just to close out, any sort of as artists who have had great success, when you look at a founder, what sort of is the advice you give them?
¿Qué consejo le daría a un fundador?
You're bringing something new,
a un fundador.
And it's a creative process. So what are you looking for in founders?
¿Qué es lo que buscas en un fundador para invertir en ellos?
Totally. I mean, there really are so many parallels. Maybe it seems like that, maybe it doesn't, but I mean, it's really difficult as artists to really find, I guess, what your sound is, what's authentically you, what you can continue to do over and over, because with this much competition, you have to be moving authentically, you have to be connected to the product that you're creating, and because you're going to have to iterate and keep it going and have consistency for a long period of time to kind of lock into your fan base and make something that's special and unique. And, we try to advise our founders to do the same thing.
Fantastic. Thank you both for joining us. Are you game for playing for us this evening for our closest friends here?
We'll be there.
6 o'clock, 6 this evening. Thank you so much.
Que van a tocar a las 6 de la tarde en el Festival Pavilion. Buen consejo, la verdad.
We'll be right here at 6 p.m. Tonight, and really looking forward to it. So that effectively sort of talks a little bit about the developer stack. So now let's talk about what is the opportunity for every company, right? At the end of the day, we are institution and organizational builders. Whether it's an AI native company, whether it's a SaaS company, whether it's an enterprise, the first thing we want to do is make sure that as you build things like plugins or agents or your AI apps, we want to make sure that they're discovered throughout the Microsoft ecosystem. That's job number one for us. That's why we're doing the things we're doing in Windows or the Microsoft 365 Copilot or in Teams or in GitHub. We want to structure them such that your applications, your agents, your plugins are discovered. Customers are also building lots of line of business applications, line of business agents, then using Copilot Studio, and we want to make that all discoverable again as part of the Copilot experience. And Teams, in some sense, has become this destination for multiplayer human-to-agent interaction. We want you to be able to find agents, interact with agents right in Teams. And we are supercharging all of this. Copilot continues to evolve very quickly. It started first with chat,
la aplicación de
some of the best models, with great access to Work IQ. We didn't have the name Work
Yo creo
IQ,
que
but
van a hablar ahora
now that's kind of where it got started.
Que ahora va a hacer código.
Co-work, a new way of working and generating these stunning artifacts and solve these multi-step problems, right? So you assign multi-step tasks to co-work. You saw GitHub. GitHub has continued to evolve as well. And now, come summer, you will be bringing coding to all knowledge work within one Copilot super app, right? That's going to be really
Copilot
exciting
super app.
To see, yeah.
Este verano. Yeah.
So you'll have chat, co-work, and code all in Copilot.
En la misma aplicación.
But today, we're introducing something completely new.
Autopilot.
Autopilots. We can think of autopilots as enterprise-grade claws. These are autonomous, long-running agents
agentes
with
autónomos
full
que funcionan indefinidamente.
That run in your tenant. Autopilots can have a name, personality, custom connectors, context, and memory. And they're a totally new way to reduce toil and get you back to what you love. To kick things off, the first autopilot we're introducing is Scout. Let's take a look.
Scout. Vamos a ver. Scout. Un equipo digital que no para de trabajar contigo. A ver. ¿Ves? O sea, Scout sería pues como un agente pues que mira tu mail, tu agenda, que se integra con todas tus herramientas y que lo que hace pues es lo típico, ¿no? De darte las tareas, que te va diciendo, mira, conexión con modelos, MCPs, integraciones. ¿Ves? Scout funciona donde tú trabajas. Microsoft Teams, ves, en el chat, que va a buscar con tus contactos y tal. Y todo desde la aplicación de Copilot. Mira, ya puedes probar Scout hoy mismo. Claro, sería el primer autopilot realmente y que podrías crear el tuyo propio.
Scout works where you work, joining group chats in Teams, handling threads in Outlook. Starting today, for those of you who are on Copilot Frontier, you can try out Scout. And in the coming months, we will build this out to a complete digital team of autopilots right inside a Copilot, right? So you can go to the Copilot app. Scout is the one that comes by default, but you can build more.
Pues vas a poder crear tantos autopilots como necesites.
And so that's the future of what we think of as the Copilot ecosystem itself. And so far, we've talked a lot about what you can do to build your own agents and how these agents are discovered in things like Copilot and Teams and Windows. But when you think about what makes any organization, any enterprise, any company unique, it is its tacit knowledge that it's continuously compounding through its operations. So the key consideration at some level in an AI age is to ask the question, what's the future of the firm? How do you continue to preserve and compound that tacit knowledge in the age of AI where models can learn anything from the data and the trajectories they see? To do that, we believe that every organization, whether it's an AI native company, a SaaS company, or any enterprise, will need to build their own hill climbing machine. It's a system that continuously improves against your objectives, your private evals, compounding your advantage over time, not someone else's. To deliver on this, we're taking the next step with frontier tuning. We have been working with many customers already
para hacer fine tuning y mejorar constantemente
learning loop, the environment, the context, the tools, the rubrics, and even train
a través de las
their own
decisiones
models.
de la empresa.
And today, we are really thrilled and excited about supercharging that frontier tuning capability with the innovation that's coming out of our super intelligence lab. To tell you all about this, let me
Va a
hand
haber
it over
un
to
laboratorio donde
Mustafa.
explican sobre esto. Mustafa Suleiman.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. You know,
Microsoft
we really
AI.
are living in the most remarkable times.
Fijaos.
Since I started working in AI, the compute that we use to train frontier models
Es
has
el
increased
CEO de Microsoft
by
AI.
1 trillion-fold. That's 12 orders of magnitude of computation in just
Creo que ahora
15
van a
years.
mostrar los modelos de
It's
Microsoft.
now clear that a consistent exponential increase in computation leads to predictable advances in AI capabilities. And in the next few years, we're going to see 3 more orders of magnitude of compute applied to train frontier models. Intelligence is now a function of compute. Log linear hill climbing has become the norm. The scaling laws are clearly holding, and it is a remarkable time in our industry. And so, in this context, we at MAI are building towards what we call humanist superintelligence.
Me gustan.
State-of-the-art AI capabilities that are explicitly designed to serve people and organizations and not replace them. Because the type of AI that we create really does matter. We need an AI that places humanity first, that always prioritizes human well-being and human progress. This is the core philosophy and motivation behind our superintelligence efforts at Microsoft, and it shapes everything that we do. And as a platform company, our job and our commitment is to keep you developers building at the absolute frontier.
La frontera.
So today we are very excited to announce a family of 7 new models across image, voice, transcription, and coding.
7 modelos nuevos de inteligencia artificial de Microsoft.
These are all built with real attention to detail and a commitment to making very practical and efficient tools that are tuned to just how you work in the real world.
Uno de código, ¿eh?
So first up, MAI Image 2.5 and its Flash variant, 2 super strong models that deliver a step change in quality.
Modelos
now
de
at
imagen.
number 2 on the leaderboard, surpassing the score of Nano Banana 2 on image editing.
Mejor que Nano Banana. Mejor que Nano Banana, obviamente
They
en
give
el
you
benchmark
precise
de Arena
editing
AI.
with incredible control and consistency. Flash is here for super efficient production workloads, while 2.5 gives you that maximum fidelity and professional grade performance. They're live in PowerPoint today, they're rolling out to OneDrive, and right now you can access them on Foundry at a market-leading quality per dollar. Next up, we've got MAI Transcribe 1.5.
Transcripción de
This
audio.
is the best transcription model in the world.
El mejor
State-of-the-art accuracy across 43 languages, beating out Gemini and OpenAI's flagship transcription
43
models.
lenguajes.
We've optimized it for real-world use so that you can produce highly accurate transcripts for any bespoke use case 5 times faster than all rival models.
Hostia, 5 veces más rápido
It's
que
now
cualquier
being
modelo.
integrated inside a GitHub, Teams, Copilot, Dynamics 365 Contact Center, and it's now also available in Foundry, where I'm very excited to say it is the fastest, most efficient, and most cost-effective transcription model of any of the hyperscalers out there.
Tela, ¿eh? Tela Microsoft.
So paired with that, we've got MAI Voice 2. This is our latest speech generation model. It has beautiful prosody, natural sounding delivery, fine-grained emotional control, and it's available.
Toy Podre dice, cualquier modelo no, pone otros, pero no que otros. Lo ha dicho Gemini y OpenAI. Los ha dicho.
That provides the very best value and speed for ultra latency sensitive voice agents, which of course is the big thing in 2026. Next up, our text foundation model. MAI Thinking 1. This is our first reasoning model, and it's exceptionally strong in our target use cases of reasoning and SWE tasks. It's a 35 billion active parameter MOE with a 256K context window. That means that it competes in the medium-sized weight class, where it's certainly punching above its weight. And independent human raters on Surge prefer it in overall quality side-by-sides versus Sonnet 4.6.
Dice, teniendo en cuenta lo pequeño que es, dice que está al nivel de Sonnet 4.6.
2025, which obviously the key measure of its general purpose reasoning abilities. But most importantly of all, it's now at 53% on SWE-Bench Pro, which places
Microsoft
it right alongside Opus 4.6, at least on the toughest coding benchmark that's
al
out
nivel
there.
de Opus 4.6.
Now, there's plenty more for us to do as we get this into production and hill climb against real-world tasks and real-world traffic. But what is actually most remarkable about this model, we think, is that it is climbed entirely from the bottom. And that means that it hasn't targeted any of the benchmarks specifically, and it's done so with absolutely zero distillation. And to us, this is critical, because it means that the model is created with an enterprise-grade, clean, and commercially licensed data lineage that means that you can put it into production in a very trustworthy way with complete confidence. Now, finally, I'm incredibly excited to announce MAI Code 1 Flash. This is our new inference-efficient coding model, which has been especially tuned for VS Code and, of course, GitHub Copilot CLI. It achieves 51% on SWE-Bench Pro, despite having just 5 billion parameters. And so it's much closer to Haiku in terms of size, but cheaper in cost, delivering really strong coding performance at great inference efficiency. And it's rolling out today inside of VS Code.
Disponible hoy en Visual Studio Code.
Now, alongside distribution on Foundry and optimization for our 1P products, we're also very excited to make our models available on OpenRouter as well as Fireworks and Base 10. So this means that for the first time, you're going to be able to tune the weights directly yourself in an ecosystem of your choice. Now, across this entire family, safety and security have been built in from the start. Our voice models come with protections against unauthorized cloning. Everything is watermarked from scratch. We've reduced our over-refusals, improved representation, including for people with disabilities. We're also publishing a very detailed technical report today to give you a full and transparent understanding of how we've put all of this together. Now, one of the things I'm particularly excited about is that we have been carefully co-designing our models with our own silicon. So that means that we've optimized MAI Thinking 1 on our very own Maya 200 chip and benchmarked it head-to-head against the GB200. And so on top of the 30% performance improvement that Satya talked about earlier, we're now seeing a further 1.4x performance per watt gain when we run our MAI models on the Maya 200 end-to-end. And that's huge, because as everybody knows, at this scale, every watt counts. And silicon and model co-design is a really key advantage that we think is going to help keep everybody here right on the frontier with the most efficient and most powerful thinking and coding agents out there. We're also super excited that these faster and more efficient MAI models are coming to the N1X that Satya mentioned a few moments ago, and we think that's going to be able to deliver the very best performance on Windows in a few months' time. Now, to us, this is what owning the full stack end-to-end looks like. It's the foundation of Microsoft Frontier Tuning, lets you customize the MAI models using our full stack hill climbing machine right where you want it. And it means that the disciplined and very relentless engineering that has gone into building our models is now available to all of you on a platform that you can trust, working on your behalf to create custom agents that you will control. So the really big thing, of course, that's happened in the last year is these RLEs, reinforcement learning environments, these unique training gyms for your AIs. They create company and task-specific agents adapted only to you, built on MAI models. So for example, within Microsoft, we use our RLEs combined with our MAI models to climb towards the best agentic use cases on Excel. Our MAI-tuned model is now on par with GPT 5.4 on public and private benchmarks, whilst at the same time being 10 times more efficient on cost. Thank you. You know, and many other early adopters are seeing similar results. When we've tuned our models on McKinsey's tasks, MAI delivered the highest win rate, even outperforming GPT 5.5, and again delivering 10x greater efficiency on cost. So to us, this is the advantage of very carefully calibrated frontier tuning. And importantly, unlike with some of the other companies, with MAI, you don't rent intelligence from a shared model that learns from everybody. Only you keep the benefits of your hard-earned workflows, know-how, knowledge, and your own institutional data. Only you get to control the resulting model. And so with us, the RLEs and the models that you build inside of them, they become your moat. I really think this is distinct. It marks a new era in AI that we're all very, very excited about.
Marca una nueva era.
Okay. So now, just one final announcement that I'm very excited about. We are taking customization and co-creation of our models to the highest level possible on what I think of as perhaps the most important application of AI.
Fijaos en el logo de Microsoft aquí.
So today we're very proud to be announcing that we're partnering with Mayo Clinic to jointly develop a new frontier model for health and then deploy it around the world in their hospitals and beyond.
Van a crear un
so this
modelo
morning, please
de
help
salud.
me in welcoming to the stage a physician, groundbreaking researcher, president and CEO of the Mayo Clinic, Dr. Gianrico Ferrugia.
Van a crear un modelo de salud. Van a crear un modelo de salud. A ver, es que yo tengo que, mientras está esto, tenemos que ver a ver si están aquí los modelos. A ver, ya están aquí los modelos. Tenemos el modelo Code 1 Flash, que ya está disponible en GitHub Copilot y Visual Studio Code. Os lo llevo meses diciéndoos esto y no tenía ninguna duda que iba a ocurrir, que Microsoft iba a crear su propio modelo. En My Thinking, que este sería el más potente que tienen, el Image 2.5, tenemos aquí el Transcribe, tal. O sea que, bueno, se pueden probar los modelos. Bueno, tenemos ya algunos aquí, el de Imagen 2.1, crea un oso panda en una bicicleta saludando a cámara. Este es el nuevo modelo de imágenes que dice que es incluso mejor que Nano Banana, o sea, lo dice por un benchmark, ¿vale? El de Thinking no está disponible todavía, está el de transcripción, está el de voz, no está el de código, pero ojo, porque si no he entendido mal, se supone que el de código ya debería estar disponible en Visual Studio Code. O sea, aquí deberíamos encontrarlo en otros modelos, que yo entiendo que este Raptor Mini seguramente era ese, ¿eh? Igual, seguramente era ese Raptor Mini. A ver si le hacemos un reload, porque reload window, a ver si recargando la ventana. Ostras, me lo he cargado. Pues no me aparece a mí por ahora. A mí no me aparece por ahora. No me aparece. Pero me imagino que aparecerá eventualmente. Bueno, ni tan mal, ¿eh? A ver, sí que le falta un poco como de resolución, pero lo ha hecho bastante rápido. Mira, se puede editar, que esto es una cosa que le faltaba. Se puede editar. Haz que aparezcan zombies en el fondo. Yo qué sé. Vamos a ver que no me... A ver, está hablando con el modelo este de inteligencia artificial, de salud y tal, por eso estamos intentando mientras. No se ha aplicado esta edición, tu indicación sigue aquí, inténtalo de nuevo. Haz la bici roja, igual cuando he puesto zombie no le ha gustado. Ah, pues no se puede, no me deja, debe ser algún error. No se ha aplicado esta edición, vaya por Dios. Se alcanzó el límite de solicitudes. Hostia, ya me lo he cargado, ¿eh? A ver, así a priori no lo veo mejor que Nano. No sé si es que está capado, que puede ser, ¿eh? Puede ser que este esté capado, puede ser. No sé, puede ser. A ver, estas imágenes tienen muy buena pinta, las cosas como son. Pero puede ser que esté capado, no sé. Eso sí, de calidad-precio, o sea, velocidad, va bastante bien. Claro, el tema es que My Image 2.5 API Pricing, no sé, claro, aquí me sale Gemini. Tendríamos que ver en Frontier, Microsoft. Tendríamos que ver los precios. A ver cómo está de precio. Pero My Image 2.5 lanza en el número 3 en Arena, que ha quedado justo por debajo de Nano Banana 2 y de GPT Images. A ver, igualmente está bastante bien, no os creáis, ¿eh? No os creáis. Bueno, vamos a seguir escuchando. Bueno, que ya ha terminado esa parte. A ver, independientemente, temazo, ¿eh? Temazo los nuevos modelos de inteligencia artificial, las cosas como son, o sea... La pasa Tanaya Yadap. Temazo, vaya tela.
Thanks, Mustafa. With Frontier Tuning, we're making it possible for you to create your own enterprise AI with the models and the harness tuned on your data.
Básicamente, ahora está hablando otra vez del tema de poder mejorar todo lo que es... mira, utilizando MI Thinking, a ver si aparece el precio. Esta versión previa privada en el catálogo no pone el precio. Ah, le tendríamos que dar al buy. A ver, vamos a buscarlo. Microsoft Foundry. Es que igual tenemos que iniciar sesión. Iniciar sesión. A ver si podemos iniciar sesión en Foundry. Es que no sé si tendréis cuenta en Foundry. Vale. Tenemos aquí Xbox Series X. ¿Esto qué es? Foundry. Productos. Foundry Models. A ver si sale por aquí. Modelos. Microsoft AI. Hostia. Bueno, a ver, si igual por aquí Learn More me lleva aquí el precio. Strong Software Engineering Performance. Hostia, me sorprende que son en total 1.000 millones de parámetros. O sea, 1.000 millones no. 1 billón de parámetros y 35.000 millones. O sea, tiene un Mixture of Experts que está al nivel de Opus 4.6. Este es el thinking. Aquí tenemos una comparación que obviamente pues en algunos lo comparan con Sonnet. Claro, es que todavía no están ahí, pero es que el tema no es que estén ahí, es que ya han empezado a estar en algún sitio, que ese es el tema. Vale, Get Early Access. Claro, no, hay que pedir acceso. No se puede, o sea, no se puede ver, todavía. No pone No sé si en el model car o en el blog post. A ver, pricing. Es que no pone price. No pone. Por aquí no pone. Pone resultados, enterprise ready. No pone precio. Tenía curiosidad porque lo viésemos. Bueno, vamos a escuchar a ver qué está haciendo. Aquí en este caso está creando con fine tuning su propia inteligencia artificial pensada para la empresa.
But in the back end, we create an entire RL gym for your agents to continuously learn the way that you work. Now let's look at the butter report generation skill here. These tasks are very complex. They require many manual steps and a high degree of
mientras
precision.
sigue con esto.
Now, in these tasks, even 80% accuracy isn't good enough.
From Azure modules.
To hill climb to higher accuracy, we're extending
Estoy mirando a ver si puedo ver el
industry
precio.
definition of skills to include rubrics on what good looks like.
Ojo.
But this is just one task. How do I scale this to codify all of the tasks in enterprise? You spend a lot of time in M365, in Teams, Outlook,
es que salen los precios
Word, Excel,
antiguos.
and PowerPoint.
No están los nuevos todavía.
We use those signals to suggest skills and rubrics that truly define the way that you work.
No están los precios todavía.
Next, you can add your organizational knowledge for grounding, like
A
for
ver,
OneDrive,
y de modelos, el code
Now, the
Flash,
environment comes built
probar en
in
Visual
with
Studio Code,
Microsoft tools,
pero todavía no está.
and you can add custom tools to it.
Todavía no está. A ver.
Because these tools tap into real workflows,
Qué
we
fuerte
virtualize them to simulate execution,
que han hecho su propio
so the
modelo
model can learn without actually
optimizado para
impacting the
GitHub
life state
Copilot.
of your business. And now my most favorite part, the science.
¿Ves? Coming
By
soon to Visual Studio
generalizing
Code.
all of these learnings
Todavía no
into
está.
the main model,
Y en
as well
GitHub,
as in the embedding model,
a ver.
we're able to hill climb for tasks that require high accuracy. And not only this, we are able to hill climb to more than 90% accuracy for Land O'Lakes tasks using the NAI model.
A esperar.
In
A esperar.
fact, we estimate this model to be 10x more efficient than the baseline models. Now, with this environment set up, let's go back to butter reporting. Let's run this task, this time using this tuned environment as an inferencing harness.
Al final lo que está enseñando aquí es cómo está haciendo un fine tuning con los datos de la empresa para que obviamente pues sepa el know-how. Esto está súper interesante, pero realmente esto ya más o menos el año pasado lo enseñaron. Lo que aquí está más interesante todavía es que está utilizando los modelos de Microsoft, ¿veis? Está utilizando el Microsoft Thinking One y además ha hecho un fine tuning utilizando, ¿veis? My Thinking One LOL RFT versión 2. O sea, es un modelo con fine tuning con sus datos y que además va iterándose automáticamente, ¿sabes? Está como todo el rato reforzándose respecto a las acciones que estás haciendo. La verdad es que está bastante interesante. Esto es con el Frontier Fine Tuning y para el nivel empresarial, pues muy interesante.
You work. Now that is what I call frontier tuning as smooth as
Frontier
butter.
Tuning. Frontier Tuning.
We cannot wait to see the environments you built. Back to you, Satya.
Back to you, Satya. Oye, qué interesante el tema de los modelos de Microsoft. Muy interesante.
Thank you for the partnership here. You know, what you just saw is a pretty significant shift. We believe that time's come for every company to just move from consuming a frontier model to fully participating at the frontier in the frontier ecosystem. That's the transition. You can have your own private evals and outcomes, your private RLEs and traces, your enterprise knowledge, create this scaffolding for models to hill climb. That's what will allow you to create that differentiated IP that you own, you control. But the second salient point is that there is a new operating point at the frontier where you can use a very efficient reasoning model and a coding model and achieve frontier level performance because you've done the hard work of creating that environment, that RLE, that hill climbing machine in which these models with your traces can hill climb to the frontier. So we think that the combination of these two is
Claro, lo que está diciendo Satya es, puedes utilizar nuestros modelos que no son frontera, pero lo puedes llevar a ser frontera con tu fine tuning.
These are the big questions, and really an ecosystem that gets built around as opposed to a few models that just are hungry for all data. To close out, though, I want to talk about that frontiers beyond that push this ecosystem of ours and really say, what's the next big thing? Bending the curve, when Mustafa talked about this with Gianrico when it comes to health, but building, that scientific discovery loop can have perhaps the biggest societal impact, right? Science today still.
Que un modelo sea frontera significa que es lo último de lo último, que es el tope de la gama.
You wait for lab results, which is out of band, and then you begin again. But what if the scientific method itself could become more continuous, more parallel, more programmable? That's what we're doing with Microsoft Discovery, right? Discovery brings together
los precios, amigos,
the HPC compute, the
del de
knowledge
código.
graphs of all the scientific knowledge, the automated lab
sale
and
todavía el
simulation into one agentic discovery loop. And so today, I'm really thrilled to GA Microsoft Discovery, and to show you all of this in action. Let me invite up on David
disponible
on stage.
general.
David, take it away.
David Carmona.
Hello. I work in the Microsoft Discovery and Quantum team. Today, to recycle a PET plastic like this bottle,
Me encanta
you
David
have to
Carmona.
shred it and melt it. The result is degraded.
Con ese acento español. Te quiero, David.
Again. It's downcycling. Cambridge Consultants, part of Capgemini, is using Microsoft Discovery to advance that research. Let me show it to you. This is the Microsoft Discovery app. It is based on VS Code because agentic discovery has many parallels with agentic software engineering. Today, I want to do these three things as a scientist. First, I want to write a scientific paper about this topic. I'll explore an existing line of research. Instead of melting the plastic, I can use proteins.
Para el que no lo sepa, Microsoft Discovery es la plataforma de inteligencia artificial que tiene Microsoft para investigación y desarrollo de I+D, ya sea empresarial, para acelerar innovación científica y cosas así, ¿vale?
And third, I want to create a lab protocol to test the results in a real lab. If you are a developer, these three steps should be very familiar to you. They look a lot like planning, coding and testing, and deploying to production, but for science. Let's launch it. This will kick off the discovery engine. You can think of it as a team of specialized agents always running in the background, following the scientific method. You can see those agents here, and you can add more. Microsoft Discovery includes a community of agents, models, and tools across many domains. You can use open source, third parties, or create your own. Okay, so this is still running, and it will be running for a while, even hours or days, because the discovery engine, like science, is not sequential. It is exploring hypotheses and performing long-running simulations dynamically. So let me open one that is already completed. You can see the files that it created here. This one is the research paper that I was asking for. To create it, Discovery is using a knowledge graph internally, bringing together public scientific literature and internal knowledge. This is a critical asset because it provides complete visibility of the reasoning, so scientists can be in full control. We can go now to step 2, the discovery itself. Let me open the output for that one. So, how do you come up with new proteins to decompose plastic? This is the approach that Discovery took. First, you need an AI model to predict how good a protein is for that. Then, you need a way to generate new proteins. And finally, you need to identify the most promising ones. So let's start with the model. Microsoft Discovery trained multiple models and picked the best. And there's no out-of-the-box agent for that. But that's okay. If Microsoft Discovery does not find an agent for a task, it will create one on the fly, which is pretty cool. So here's all the files that it created. This one here is the YAML for the agent. And this one, for example, is the Python code to train the models. Now we need to generate candidates for new proteins. And that task requires a lot of compute. Discovery is integrated with HPC, so agents can use it for complex simulations. You can see the process here. It started with a seed protein, and then it created variations by replacing small segments. You can see those segments there. Then it applied the model from before to see the variation helps or not, learning in that process. This is done millions of times in multiple jobs in parallel, exploring a huge tree of proteins. The result is 80 proteins that are ready to be sent to the lab for testing, which we said it was like deploying software, right? The problem, though, is that creating a protein is a little bit more complicated. The most common way is inserting DNA into bacteria so the bacteria create the protein for me. So Discovery created another file, this one here. This file contains all the DNA sequences to create each protein. I can send this now to a lab, create the proteins, and test them. Or I can go one step further. If I have an automated lab, I can integrate it directly with the agents. Let's do it. So let me go back to the session, and let's just submit job to lab. Go. This will use a custom agent that is sending instructions for the lab equipment. And this is very real. Cambridge Consultants does have an automated lab, and I have it right here. So this is the application controlling the lab. It has a Copilot interface, so the scientists can interact with the lab to design experiments. It feels like being Iron Man, but for chemistry. In this case, Discovery is submitting the job. You can see it already here. But remember, you need to grow the bacteria, so this will take some time. So let me open a previous run. And there you go. These are all the steps that the agents are doing. Most of them completely automated with human supervision. How cool is that?
Hostia. Qué bueno, ¿eh?
This is bringing together the physical world and the digital agents in a unified discovery loop. And this was just one example of what Microsoft Discovery can do. Customers across industries are using it today to embrace a new era of scientific discovery. Thank you. Back to you.
Bravo, bravo, David Carmona. Bravo, bravo. Perfecto.
Thank you so much, David.
Me encanta. Muchas veces, amigos, estamos preocupados que si el acento es de donde tú eres. Y David Carmona habla un inglés perfecto, se le ha entendido perfecto. ¿Qué pasa? Pues que tiene acento español, pero mira, se le ha entendido perfecto y ha dado una charla en la Microsoft Build. Ahí tenéis, talento español. Ahí lo tenéis.
And we proved it out that it exists. Our vision was to take a very radically different approach to addressing the fundamental barriers to building a scalable
computación cuántica,
which is all about reliability, speed, as well as size. Since then, we have
Esto es lo siguiente que se viene después de la inteligencia artificial.
Full quantum stack.
La programación cuántica
academic and industry
lo va a petar.
partners. In fact, in Q North, we will have a quantum computer powered by atom computers, natural atom computers, with our stack in there. We're also working with Algorithmic and Columbia and ETH Zurich. And we ourselves, in fact, use this discovery agentic loop to accelerate the work in quantum, compressing years of...
Bueno, Microsoft tiene su propio lenguaje de programación cuántica, que es el Q#. Muy interesante, que lo sepáis.
To announce Majorana 2. And so this is Majorana 2.
Hostia, Majorana 2.
Majorana 2 implements the next generation material stack that we use Discovery to discover and build and help fabricate.
Qué bonitos son los chips cuánticos.
Are exceptionally reliable and capable of maintaining their state much longer, while other common approaches deliver a lifetime of just microseconds or even milliseconds. Majorana 2 provides qubit mean lifetime of 20 seconds or up to even a minute, essentially 1,000 times higher than what we were able to achieve with Majorana 1. And the operations, and this is so key, operations in Majorana 2 are 1 microsecond, enabling pretty complex quantum computation in that lifetime. And all of this in the same qubit form factor of Majorana 1 in 1/100th of a millimeter controlled all digitally, which is again a super important aspect. Making it all possible to fit 1 million of these qubits in a chip smaller than a credit card. It's this combination of the reliability, the speed, the size that makes the topological approach so unique. With Majorana 1, we had proven out the foundational physics, and with Majorana 2, now we begin the engineering scale. But ultimately,
Están todo, Microsoft, están todo,
It is never about tech for tech's sake. It's about tackling those pressing challenges of people and planet. It is also the fundamental point of this conference. The question is not whether you can build the next great model, the next great platform, or even this quantum machine. The question is, how do we build this frontier ecosystem together? Because there are really 2 stories people can tell about this moment. One is that technology concentrates power, reduces human agency, and leaves the society to absorb the consequences. The other is that we use this next wave to unlock opportunity for developers, scientists, enterprises, and every community.
Qué frase más bonita.
And our job is to make the second story true. That's our North Star for the frontier ecosystem. Let's all go build together. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you.
Bueno. Pues esto ha sido la Microsoft Build. Y aquí tenemos el vídeo final con el procesador Majorana 2. Microsoft está en todas. Microsoft está en todas. O sea, Microsoft está en todas. Cuando te despistas, ¡pum!, te mete un modelo de inteligencia artificial. Miras para otro sitio, toma, aquí tienes un portátil, el Surface Laptop Ultra. Ah, ¿qué te pensabas? ¿Que no iba a hacer programación cuántica? Aquí lo tienes. Uf, telita, telita. La verdad, creo, sinceramente, que el foco de Microsoft está bien. O sea, está en un buen foco. O sea, le veo con la cabeza amueblada, sinceramente. O sea, veo que Microsoft ha sabido tomar claramente el rumbo. Te puede gustar más o menos Microsoft, te puede gustar, ya sabes, yo utilizo MacOS, o sea, no tengo una máquina Windows ahí, y es verdad que cada vez pues estoy cada vez más tentado, y ya sabéis que la evolución que tiene Microsoft como empresa, pues la verdad es que va llamando la atención. En este Microsoft Build a mí me ha sorprendido un montón el tema, el DevBox, que eso, o sea, lo necesito directamente, ese DevBox de Microsoft. ¿Esto qué? ¿Esta es una transición? No, esto no es. ¿Cómo se llamaba esto? Se llamaba DevBox, ¿no? Me lo he imaginado yo. Me lo he imaginado. Surface RTX Spark. O sea, se llama Surface RTX Spark. Es así como se llama. Nuevo potente capítulo. No, pero este es el... Ah, antes ha salido... O sea, se llama DevBox. Ahora hemos encontrado. Uf, qué bonito es esto, Dios mío. Qué bonito es esto. Qué bonito es esto. ¿No os da la sensación que Microsoft se ha enterado de qué va la película? Es como que, al menos hace como 5 años o 4 años, que veíamos la Microsoft Build y nos dábamos cuenta como que Microsoft no tenía muy claro hacia dónde ir, ¿no? Y no sé si os acordáis de Microsoft con las HoloLens. ¿Os acordáis de las HoloLens? Bueno, pues las HoloLens las anunciaron en una Microsoft Build, en un Ignite. De hecho, yo llegué a hacer en vivo y en directo, estuve ahí hablando y no sé qué, y no las han abandonado, pero era como que estaban como enfocados en eso y nadie entendía nada. Era como, nadie entendía nada, decía, pero ¿por qué Microsoft está con esto y tal? Y desde entonces, o sea, fue ese año que decías, no sé qué está haciendo Microsoft, y desde entonces le ha dado una vuelta, pero exagerada. Y creo que este año, más que nunca, o sea, este año tenemos las novedades con el nuevo chip RTX Spark de Nvidia, que se ha puesto foco en el hardware, pero bien, ¿sabes? Nada de Windows Phone de la época que me estáis diciendo por ahí. El Windows Phone también estaba en la época perdida, yo creo, de Microsoft. Pero esto tiene una pinta tremenda, ¿eh? Esto tiene muy buena pinta. No sé, a mí me ha llamado... Lo que no sé qué precio tendrá esto. 128 GB de memoria RAM. Pero que tiene buena pinta. O sea, ya solo el hecho que sea deseable... No sé. Mira, aquí podemos ver los puertos. Con el HDMI, el LAN... Vale. Bueno, interesante. Puertos para pros. Hecho para desarrolladores. Luego, todo el cambio de software con el tema de la terminal que han llegado a poner... ¿Pero qué lleva? Lo que lleva es un chip RTX Spark que ya se ha anunciado, que es de Nvidia con ARM, hasta 128 GB de memoria RAM y que está pensado para ejecutar modelos de inteligencia artificial en local. Y que va a 4 GHz la CPU, a 4 GHz. No tengo ni idea cuánto va a costar, pero esto pues tiene pinta de va a costar 4.000 o 5.000 euros. De hecho, no os lo puedo decir ahora, pero es que os tengo un spoiler. No os puedo decir ahora, pero voy a hacer una colaboración muy potente con una empresa que está muy relacionada con todo esto que estamos hablando. Está relacionada con Microsoft. De hecho, utilizaremos Windows y tal. Y ya veréis. Vais a alucinar porque es una cosa que ha costado mucho dinero. Solo os puedo decir eso. El tema, que esto tiene una pinta espectacular, que la Surface Laptop Ultra, que hacía tiempo que no veía un hardware que me daban ganas de tener de Microsoft, y tengo que decir que tanto este bicho como la laptop Surface Ultra tiene pintaza, o sea, tiene pintaza, de verdad. Luego, el tema de los modelos, porque dices, no, es que, vale, el tema de los modelos. Microsoft le ha visto las orejas al lobo y ha dicho, a ver, los modelos se están comoditizando, o sea, que es una commodity, que se pueden reemplazar, son fácilmente reemplazables, pero no tenemos modelos. ¿Qué vamos a hacer? Vamos a crear nuestros modelos. ¿Para qué? Para no depender del resto. Porque GitHub Copilot no es sostenible. No podemos pagarle tanto dinero a OpenAI ni a la gente de Anthropic. Por lo tanto, vamos a crear nuestros propios modelos y poco a poco van a ir mejorándolos. Este es su primer modelo de código. Que según ellos está al nivel de Sonnet 4.6, decían, creo, ¿no? Decían que está al nivel de 4.6, no sé si incluso lo comparaban con Opus 4.6 y tal. Bueno, que tiene buena pinta, que esto es solo el inicio. Yo creo, y lo veo clarísimo, que se van a enfocar y que su idea es que van a tener en Visual Studio Code que tú intentes utilizar cuanto más esto, mejor. Ya está, sus propios modelos, ya está, que lo hagas y lo utilices. Todavía a mí no me aparecía antes, pero se supone que pronto debería estar por aquí o en otros modelos, no sé por qué se me rompe esto, pero a mí no me aparece, no me aparece, ¿veis? Que no, a mí no me aparece, no sé si es que no, pero ya lo he recargado, no sé, o sea, a ver, voy a volver a, Codex no, Visual Studio Code, a ver ahora. Lo he cerrado del todo, ¿eh? Ya más no lo puedo cerrar. Hostia, vaya error que hay aquí más raro, tío. Que se me abre ahí. Nada, que a mí no me aparece. No me aparece. A ver si es que hay que actualizar. Y... check updates. Ah, mira, se está descargando una actualización. Ya está. Se está descargando una actualización. Puede ser que sea eso. Bueno, pues el tema. Que tenemos lo de Microsoft con los modelos, tenemos el hardware, tenemos que ha dejado de lado, o sea, ha dicho, voy a despegarme de OpenAI, voy a vender modelos desde mi infraestructura y ganar dinero, voy a crear mis propios modelos y voy a convertir a Windows en la máquina de desarrollo que siempre todo el mundo ha soñado que sea, ¿sabes? Vamos a mejorar la terminal, vamos a dejarnos de tonterías, vamos a hacer que la terminal sea la terminal que todo el mundo desea y ya con Windows Subsystem Linux han hecho un trabajo espectacular. ¿Que la gente tiene problemas con Docker? Toma 2 tazas y han creado un sistema nativo de contenedores integrado en Windows. ¿Que funciona mal Docker? No te preocupes, toma, aquí lo tienes. ¿Que no se puede ejecutar OpenCloud en Windows? Oye, pero no te preocupes, toma, aquí tienes OpenCloud en Windows y además vamos a crear una aplicación que va a estar, para que la tengas, el OpenCloud Companion App. Es que han presentado muchas cosas interesantes. Vamos a crear el OpenCloud Companion App, a ver si aparece por aquí, que yo pensaba que estaría de código abierto. A ver, Windows Companion Suite for OpenCloud. A ver, pensaba que... A ver si la han puesto dentro de la organización de OpenCloud, me imagino. Pues no está todavía, ¿eh? CluSP, OpenCloud... Supongo que lo pondrán. Lo pondrán eventualmente. ¿Es esto? OpenCloud Windows Note. Es esto. Sí, es esto. Oye, pintaza. O sea, pintaza. Tiene muy buena pinta la UI de OpenCloud y dicen que el problema es que no es seguro. Toma, vamos a crear un sistema de sandbox interno en Windows que sea súper fácil ejecutar OpenCloud. Y vamos a tener pues una ejecución en sandbox a diferentes niveles con tema de permisos y tal. O sea, tremendo. Esto tiene pero que muy buena pinta. Mira, aquí Node Sandbox is on. Lo podéis activar o desactivar si queréis vivir en peligro. Y le puedes dar acceso a las cosas en concreta, qué permisos tiene y tal. Tiene muy buena pinta, amigos. ¿Qué queréis que os diga? Las cosas como son. Tiene pero que muy buena pinta. También el tema cuántico. Lo de Microsoft Discovery que ahora está disponible de forma general, los nuevos modelos de inteligencia artificial de Microsoft, lo de Frontier Tuning, esto es un poco de Enterprise, Microsoft Scout para hacer algo que está construido con OpenCloud para hacer el Super Copilot, el nuevo Microsoft Copilot que va a tener código a partir de verano, MDash, que es este agente de seguridad multiagéntico, que son más de 100 agentes a la vez. Tiene muy buena pinta. La nueva aplicación de GitHub Copilot, que ya la sabíamos, tiene muy buena pinta, la verdad. Pero que muy buena pinta. Yo creo que a lo mejor lo que menos ha pegado es el Project Solara, que como idea me parece interesante, pero creo que le han dedicado demasiado tiempo, igual que quizás le han dedicado demasiado tiempo a lo de Jensen Huang, que tampoco hubiera sido necesario, ¿no? Pero por lo demás, pues muy bien Microsoft, la verdad, no sé. A mí, quizás es solo mi opinión. ¿Qué os ha parecido a vosotros? Haré un vídeo y haré vídeos probando alguna de las cositas, pero ¿qué os ha parecido? La verdad, o sea, yo de verdad sí que me ha parecido una conferencia para programadores, que es lo que estamos pidiendo. Creo que el principio ha sido espectacular, o sea, me ha encantado el principio, cómo ha empezado, lo de DevBox, o sea, me ha encantado. Creo que luego ha bajado con lo de Jensen Huang, ¿no? Mira, brutal, increíble, un 10, muy bueno, interesante, veremos si nos sumo, un 10, muy bien, esperando los precios de los modelos, pueden darle la vuelta a Copilot, quiero la 10 box, a ver los precios, bien, pero queremos ver precio para saber qué tan pobres somos, muy bien todo, developers, Windows 12 está perdido, Windows 12 ahora no es el foco, o sea, Windows 12 ahora no es el foco, ahora pueden vivir sin Windows 12, ahora lo importante está en otro sitio. A ver qué me dice aquí la gente de YouTube, que dice, yo veo que no voy a tener chamba. No creo que sea así. ¿Qué vas a tener chamba? Si es que al final yo veo estas conferencias y lo que digo es, ostras, es que vamos a tener más trabajo que nunca, tío. O sea, vamos a tener más trabajo que nunca. Que sí, hay cosas que se están haciendo agénticas, que se están automatizando. Y me gusta mucho el foco de Microsoft porque realmente es, mira todo lo que puedes construir, ¿sabes? Mira todo lo que puedes hacer con las cosas que te estoy dando aquí. Mira. Claro, es que se llama Microsoft Build, o sea, mira lo que puedes construir. Y eso me gusta, ¿sabes? El hecho de, yo te doy esto, tú construye. Esta es mi infraestructura, estos son mis modelos, estas son mis cosas. 100%, pero todo depende del precio. Puede estar integrado o añadir mejoras, pero estas mejoras que hace el rendimiento, vas a tener más chamba. Que aunque Windows sea más estable, estoy feliz. Yo creo que van a aprender con tema de Windows, yo creo que lo van a arreglar en condiciones, ¿eh? Ya veréis. ¿Cómo ves el panorama para Apple con esto? Bueno, la semana que viene hace una conferencia Apple, pero el problema de Apple, a ver, es que me gusta mucho el enfoque de Microsoft. Y ya sabéis que el de Apple, pues aunque sea conferencia de desarrolladores, no me gusta tanto. Veremos lo que anuncian. Me pregunto qué pasará con la Worldwide Developer Conference. Va a existir más trabajo, pero no como el conocemos hoy en día. Eso totalmente estoy de acuerdo. Una laptop de Windows para desarrollar apps móviles. No lo veo imposible, no lo veo tan difícil, ¿eh? A Jesús no le gusta. Yo pienso igual, ahora vamos a tener más trabajo, tenemos que aprender más cosas, estoy saturado. Pero bueno, yo creo que lo importante es separar el grano de la paja. Lo que me gusta es que no lo están tomando como mira a todas las personas que puedes reemplazar, sino que es mira todas las herramientas nuevas que puedes tener. Eso es una cosa que me gusta. O sea, me gusta que es mira todas las cosas que puedes hacer, que puedes construir, ¿sabes? O sea, eso es lo que está bien. El hecho de enfocarlo de esta manera, a mí me gusta mucho. Una laptop de Windows, Windows estable, mejor que nuevos modelos de inteligencia artificial. Yo creo que queremos las dos cosas. Y creo que me ha gustado mucho, no sé qué os ha parecido, a mí me ha parecido un melocotonazo el tema de que la terminal de Windows va a tener los servicios grep y todo esto, ¿sabes? O sea que vamos a tener, por ejemplo, nuevos comandos como grep, vamos a tener un montón, cat, un montón. O sea, la nueva versión de PowerShell que no vamos a necesitar ya tener que preocuparnos de qué comandos utilizamos. Vamos a utilizar los pipes, utilizando los comandos de toda la vida. Grep es de toda la vida, es un comando de Linux, de Unix, o bueno, Unix, de sistemas Unix Linux, que al final es una Global Regular Expression Print. Y eso lo que te permite es buscar patrones en archivos y cosas así. Y me parece muy interesante, muy interesante. Así que muy bien Microsoft. Haremos videíto, ¿vale? Pronto hacemos un videíto para explicar un poco de todas las cositas que hemos visto, de las cosas más destacadas. Voy a hacer algún vídeo de las cosas más destacadas y por otro lado voy a hacer un vídeo probando los modelos que han sacado, como por ejemplo el modelo de Visual Studio Code, que entiendo que ahora sí que lo tendré por aquí, pero me gustará probarlo en condiciones. Creo que este es el proyecto, los Core Utils de NU. Sí, esto es, los Core Utils. Core Utils que al final son como 70 o 75 servicios, comandos, aplicaciones. A ver ahora, otros modelos, nada, Raptor. Pues nada, amigos, yo estoy negado. A mí no me aparece, tío. No me aparece. No me aparece a mí. Yo qué sé. Me imagino que los están sacando poco a poco. A mí no me aparece. Bueno, amigos, que nos vamos. Oye, muchas gracias por seguir la Microsoft Build conmigo. Muchas gracias a Microsoft porque me han permitido ser embajador de la marca y poder seguir en vivo la Microsoft Build y anunciaros cositas de la Microsoft Build. Y no os preocupéis porque todavía habrá más cosas de la Microsoft Build. Ya digo que vamos a hacer más videitos de la Microsoft Build. Que la Microsoft Build no ha terminado. De hecho, todo lo contrario. Está empezando ahora la Microsoft Build. Por lo tanto, hay un montón de sesiones. Podéis utilizar midu.link/msbuild para apuntaros a la Microsoft Build y ver las sesiones online, que son totalmente gratuitas, que ya sabéis que tenéis todo el catálogo de sesiones. No le pegaste nada al bingo. A ver, ¿cómo que no? MyMatches 2.5, check. O sea, hecho. Surface Laptop Ultra, check. Herramientas de ciberseguridad, el MNASH, check. Microsoft Scout, check. GitHub App, que es la GitHub Copilot App, check. Super Copilot, check. Surface Mini PC Ultra, check. Solo he fallado en el Windows 11X. Que te digo una cosa, que con lo que han puesto de las terminales, casi. Y que lo había dejado vacío, que en realidad era para OpenCloud. Y también ha sido check. O sea, ¿cómo que no le pegué a nada al bingo? SatDark. Sí, le he dado a todo, tío. SatDark. Si parece que trabajo yo en Microsoft. O sea, ¿qué más? Te he dicho desde hace meses, te he dicho yo el primero que va a haber un modelo de código de Microsoft. Y te lo han anunciado hoy. O sea, ¿de dónde te enteras de las cosas antes que en ningún sitio? Si te las digo yo antes que nadie. Te digo, van a hacer esto 6 meses antes. Llevo años diciéndotelo. Y mira, ahí lo tienes. Luego la gente, es que no sé, es que te lo inventas, que no sé qué... Antonio. Bueno, amigos, que muchas gracias por estar ahí, que sepáis que tenéis el catálogo de sesiones, que os recomiendo un montón que le echéis un vistazo, sobre todo a las sesiones, para mí las más interesantes, las Digital Lab, que podéis seguirlas, no sé por qué online, aquí, los Digital Labs que no se guardan y que hay muchos que son bastante interesantes, como por ejemplo Get Started with Models in Microsoft Foundry to Build AI Apps. Y ahí pues tenéis incluso para utilizar la OpenAI SDK y tal. Le podéis hacer Save to Favorites y ahí pues veis cuándo es y le echáis un vistazo y lo seguís, que está bastante interesante. Ah, mira, si es que de hecho el lab se puede hacer en cualquier momento. O sea, no es que se guarde, es que se puede hacer en cualquier momento. Ah, mira, interesante. Ostras, súper interesante. O sea, es un laboratorio que podéis hacer ya. Ostras, pues mejor, ¿eh? Bueno, muy interesante. Pues amigos, espero que os haya gustado la Microsoft Build. Muchas gracias por vuestro apoyo. Gracias a toda la gente que ha estado de YouTube, que ha habido hasta 4.000 personas. Gracias por quedaros ahí hasta el final. Muchas gracias, amigos. Dice Juan Castro, qué crack. Muchas gracias. Creo que los nuevos ordenadores con chip de Nvidia costarán más de 2.000 euros. Salvador, yo creo que sí. Creo que van a empezar a partir de los 1.800 y a partir de ahí según la memoria RAM. Pero el DevBox, no tengo ninguna duda, que seguramente va a empezar a partir de 2.500, a no ser que vendan con menos memoria RAM, pero claro, no tendría sentido. Léenos, por favor. Sí, te estoy leyendo. ¿Queréis el enlace? Te paso el enlace para que te apuntes a los labs. Mira, ahí lo tienes. Venga, amigos, cuídense mucho. Muchas gracias a la gente de Twitch y muchas gracias a la gente de YouTube. Gracias a los dos por estar ahí. Os quiero un montón. Gracias por ver estos eventos conmigo, que me lo paso pipa con todos ustedes. Así que muchas gracias y nos vemos en la siguiente. Volvemos el lunes que viene porque mañana me voy de viaje. Voy a estar en las oficinas de Inditex, que tengo que ir a dar un workshop a Galicia, a las oficinas de Zara, y no voy a poder hacer mañana directo. Así que nos vemos ya el lunes que viene con las noticias de programación, desarrollo y tecnología. Y el martes que viene tenemos directo con el evento de Apple. Así que nos vemos la semana que viene con directo lunes, martes y a ver si el miércoles, porque creo que tengo otro viaje. Es que lo tengo complicado, tengo muchos viajes. Bueno, amigos, no, el miércoles sí. El miércoles que viene vamos a tener directo porque vamos a hacer directo desde las oficinas de Don Dominio, que vamos a hacer una dinámica especial con una hackathon muy rápida para que me enseñéis vuestros portfolios, proyectos y tal, ¿vale? Así que el lunes, la semana que viene, hacemos directo lunes, martes y miércoles, que lo sepáis. ¡Hala, amigos!